The Tzenkethi Empire's illegal breeding program on Earth ends tonight. Intelligence Officer Adam Boyd checks his tactical display one final time as rain drums against the cloaked shuttle's hull over New Singapore. Two alien mothers, held as breeding slaves, await rescue in the facility below their imprisonment, representing the first documented case of the Tzenkethi operating their eugenics programs on human soil. Biosignatures confirmed in chambers A and B, Dr. Marcus Scott reports, studying his medical scanner. Both subjects show elevated stress markers consistent with multiple forced pregnancies. The doctor's jaw tightens. They're stable but critical, will need to move fast. Adam signals his extraction team forward through the facility's outer security perimeter. The rain provides excellent cover as they breach the primary floor. 4 Tzenkethi guards patrol the corridors, their cybernetic enhancements glinting under harsh fluorescent lights. Adam raises his EMP rifle, targeting the nearest guard's neural implants. One shot, and the enhanced soldier crumples. His team makes quick work of the remaining 3. In Chamber A, they find Willa. The tall alien female's iridescent skin has lost its luster, tubes and monitoring equipment snaking from her body into ominous medical apparatus. Chamber B reveals Kara in similar condition. The team works quickly to disconnect them from the Tzenkethi's life support systems while maintaining critical care functions. As Dr. Scott stabilizes the victims for transport, Adam discovers a terminal containing data crystals. The classified military documents within reveal the facility's true purpose, harvesting DNA from various species to create genetically enhanced soldiers. The complex houses cutting-edge genetic manipulation equipment, suggesting this is no small operation. Multiple facilities, Adam mutters, scanning the intelligence. They're running these programs across different worlds. Suddenly, klaxons blare. The facility's security systems engage, forcing a critical decision. Adam could spend precious minutes downloading additional intelligence on the Tzenkethi's broader operations, or ensure the immediate evacuation of Willa and Kara. The choice is clear: no intelligence is worth risking civilian lives. Plant the charges, he orders, setting explosive devices on the main databanks. We're leaving now. The team hustles both mothers to their waiting shuttle as the charges detonate behind them, destroying the Tzenkethi's research data. As they lift off into the rainy night sky, Adam knows this rescue marks more than just a successful extraction. It represents humanity's first direct opposition to the Tzenkethi Empire's covert operations on Earth, and a clear message that such atrocities will not be tolerated on human soil. In the shuttle's medical bay, Dr. Scott administers care to their rescued passengers. Soon, these former breeding slaves will find sanctuary and freedom in their new home on Earth, the first of many. The United Earth Intelligence plans to liberate from Tzenkethi control. The shuttle touches down at the United Earth Medical Facility's secure landing pad, rain still drumming against its hull. Medical staff swarm the bay doors before they fully open, rushing forward with specialized hovergurneys calibrated for non-human physiology. Get them to xenobiology critical care, Dr. Scott orders, transmitting vital signs to the facility's systems. Full containment protocols. Dr. Sarah Henderson meets them at the airlock, her white coat contrasting with the metallic sheen of her biosensor array. Chambers 3 and 4 are prepped. We'll start full spectrum analysis immediately. Inside the pristine medical bay, banks of holographic displays spring to life as Henderson's team begins their examination. The xenobiologist's eyes narrow as she studies the readouts from Willa's bioluminescent organ cavity. Surgical scarring indicates at least 7 separate extraction procedures, she notes, adjusting the quantum resonance scanner. The remaining tissue shows signs of systematic harvesting. In the adjacent chamber, Screens display Kara's neural patterns, jagged lines disrupted by regular interference patterns from the T-Zenkethi implants. A technician carefully maps the device's integration points, while Henderson reviews the data. Their mineral profiles are critical, Henderson announces. Multiple accelerated gestations have depleted core reserves. Starting targeted replacement therapy. Intelligence Director Morrison arrives as the medical team works, his presence filling the observation room. He watches through the containment field as crystalline nutrient solutions flow through specialized delivery systems into both patients. Officer Reed, Morrison calls out, I want you heading their rehabilitation. Your experience with the Proxima trafficking victims will be invaluable here. Reed nods, already reviewing preliminary psychological assessments on his datapad. The neural dampeners complicate things with Kara. We'll need to carefully monitor her empathic abilities as they return. In the facility's Secure Analysis Center, Dr. Richard Scott's fingers dance across holographic interfaces as he dissects the recovered data crystals. The corporate connections are extensive, he reports. Money trails leading through shell companies on 3 worlds. Adam studies the facility network map taking shape on the main display. Red markers indicate confirmed breeding centers, forming a disturbing pattern across multiple star systems. His attention fixes on a flashing point near the T-Zenkethi border. That's their primary research facility, Scott explains. Based on resource allocation, it's likely where they're keeping. The medical bay's alert system interrupts him. Henderson's voice cuts through. Both subjects are experiencing severe neurotransmitter fluctuations. The T-Zenkethi compliance compounds are breaking down. Adam rushes to the medical level, passing through layers of newly installed security measures. Chief Wang's quantum scramblers create subtle distortions in the air, while gravitic field generators hum at key checkpoints. Inside, medical staff work to stabilize both patients as their bodies react to the withdrawal. Willa's remaining bioluminescent tissue pulses erratically. Kara thrashes against the restraint field, her neural implants sparking. We need species-specific synthesis protocols, Henderson calls out, adjusting medication levels. Their physiologies are too unique for standard treatments. As the immediate crisis stabilizes, Henderson pulls Adam aside. There's something else you need to see. She brings up detailed genetic scans. These markers, both of them were pregnant recently, successfully, and based on the genetic profiles. Their children are still alive, Adam finishes, studying the data, being held at one of the other facilities. The information adds new weight to the tactical displays showing target locations across 3 star systems. 15 more captives, plus an unknown number of offspring. Adam begins composing preliminary mission parameters as Henderson's team continues their work, developing treatment protocols for 2 unique physiologies while fighting the effects of T-Zenkethi chemical control. Behind him, Reed starts his first careful interaction with Willa, his movements slow and deliberate as he approaches the containment field. The real work healing bodies and minds while gathering intelligence for the next phase is just beginning. The relative calm of the medical facility shatters as alarms blare from Willa's containment chamber. Henderson rushes to the biomedical display, her fingers flying across the holographic controls. Severe organ cascade detected, she announces. The bioluminescent tissue degradation is accelerating. Adam steps closer to the containment field, watching Willa's iridescent skin flicker erratically. The patterns remind him of malfunctioning nav beacons' bright flashes followed by concerning periods of darkness. Without donor tissue from another Lumini, she has maybe 7 to 2 hours, Henderson says, activating additional life support systems. The damage is too extensive for synthetic substitutes. Director Morrison's quantum comm crackles to life. Initiate Operation Starlight. All teams deploy according to preset protocols. Dr. Marcus Scott wheels a modified stasis pod into the chamber. The recovered Tzenkethi tech should buy us time, he explains, calibrating its systems. But the window is tight 7 to 2 hours maximum. Through the facility's secured channels, mission parameters flash across tactical displays. Commander Jack Harper's Beta Squad preps for simultaneous strikes on Rigel, while Adam's team, designated Alpha Squad, targets the primary facility on Tzenkethi Prime's moon. Senior Technical Officer Miller's voice cuts through the command center's controlled chaos. Atmospheric maintenance systems confirmed at all target locations. Their environmental controls are our way in. Quantum signatures planted, Chief Wang reports from his station. False Lumini transport readings broadcasting on all Tzenkethi frequencies. Adam leads his team to their waiting craft, sleek vessels with hulls that seem to bend reality around them. Combat Medic Tours double-checks his xenobiology kit while studying the latest biometric data from the facilities. New intel incoming, Officer Reed announces through the command channel. Source designate Vexgar confirms 13 Lumini females in the lower levels. Security forces equipped with anti-human cybernetic upgrades. The stealth vessel slips through space, its metamaterial hull dispersing sensor waves like water around a stone. Through the viewscreen, Tzenkethi Prime's moon grows larger, its surface marked by industrial complexes and defense installations. Surveillance gap in 6 minutes, Miller reports, tracking increased military activity near the primary target. High Commander Krasthol's forces are consolidating their operations. Adam checks his tactical display as the vessel settles into its approach vector. The facility's environmental systems pulse with regular energy signatures, each cycle representing a vulnerability in their security mesh. His team's window for insertion measures in minutes, their total operational time limited to 6 hours before planetary rotation, exposes their position. TORS monitors the biomedical feeds linked to the Singapore facility. Stasis protocols holding steady on Willa. 68 hours remaining. The stealth vessel touches down in a maintenance shadow as the facility's atmospheric processors begin their cycle. Adam checks his team's equipment one final time. EMP rifles calibrated to the specific frequency of the new Tzenkethi cybernetics, breaching charges tuned to their security fields. Through the facility's external cameras, they observe enhanced guards moving with mechanical precision along patrol routes. Their cybernetic implants pulse with a distinctive orange glow, marking them as part of Krasthol's elite security force. Vexgar's intel confirms the holding cells are 3 levels down, Tors says, studying the facility's schematics. Environmental controls indicate compatible Lumini life support systems in operation. Adam activates his tactical overlay as the first security gap approaches. The mission clock starts its countdown 6 hours to locate the captives, secure viable donor tissue for Willa, and extract without detection. Beyond the facility's walls, Tzenkethi military vessels move through established patrol patterns, their presence a constant reminder of the operation's razor-thin margins for error. Adam signals his team forward as the atmospheric processor begins its cycle. The rhythmic pulse of machinery masks their approach through the maintenance access shaft. They move in practiced formation tours, checking bio readings, Kane prepping breach charges, Scott monitoring security feeds, and Brooks covering their rear. The modified EMP char adheres silently to the external sensor array. Scott's fingers dance across his tactical pad, synchronizing the detonation with the processor's peak output. A brief surge of electromagnetic energy cascades through the array, creating a momentary blind spot in the facility's detection grid. "Access point clear," Scott whispers through their encrypted comm channel. 30 seconds until next patrol. They slip through the disabled sensor field into the facility's outer ring. The Stark architecture speaks to Tzenkethi efficiency, gleaming metal surfaces interrupted only by security checkpoints and containment doors. Kane's demolition scanner reveals the reinforced walls protecting the lower levels. The first cybernetically enhanced guard rounds the corner, orange implants pulsing beneath gray skin. Kane triggers his modified plasma rifle before the guard can react. The concentrated energy burst overloads the cybernetic systems, dropping the guard without a sound. Standard IMP's ineffective, Kane reports, scanning the fallen guard's implants, adjusting all weapons to plasma burst configuration. They encounter the laboratory complex on sublevel 1, rows of analysis stations filled with biological scanning equipment. Scott downloads research logs while Tors examines the medical apparatus. Gene sequencing tech, Tors notes. Advanced mutation protocols. The team pushes deeper, encountering increasing resistance. 2 more enhanced guards fall to concentrated plasma fire. Brooks secures their rear as they descend to sublevel 2. Scott's pad chirps with an incoming transmission. Beta Squad reporting heavy contact at Rigel facility. Transport ships on site. Harper's team has disabled 1 vessel. The Genetic Research Center dominates sublevel 2. Dr. Krelver hunches over a console, frantically entering commands. The Tzenkethi scientists' fingers blur across holographic controls as data streams begin vanishing from display screens. System purge initiated, Scott calls out, rushing to an adjacent terminal. His override protocols engage, fighting the deletion algorithms. Brooks secures Krelver while Kane collects physical samples, tissue cultures, and genetic records stored in quantum stasis fields. The research logs reveal a disturbing scope: hundreds of successful specimens, including Willa and Kara's children, scheduled for transport to a military facility near Deneb. Morrison to Alpha Squad, their comms crackle. Tzenkethi warships approaching both facilities. 4 to 5 minute window for extraction. They find the captives on sublevel 3. 13 Lumini females float in biostasis chambers, their bioluminescent organs pulsing weakly. Adjacent pods contain infants, 27 in total, their tiny forms suspended in nutrient baths. Tors moves quickly between the stasis units, checking genetic markers. 3 viable donors for Willa confirmed. Beginning emergency disconnect sequence. The facility's lighting shifts to red. Warning klaxons echo through the metal corridors as primary power fluctuates. Reactor shutdown initiated, Scott reports from a security terminal. Life support failing. Krelver must have triggered it during the data purge. Kane preps emergency extraction charges while Scott attempts to stabilize the reactor. Tors works frantically to maintain the captive's life support as power levels continue dropping. UEI defense grid engaging, Morrison updates. We'll delay their fleet, but you need to move. Now. The reactor's shutdown sequence accelerates. Emergency lights flicker as backup systems strain to maintain critical functions. Tors monitors the captive's vital signs while Kane places the final charges. Ready for emergency extraction, Kane announces, checking the demolition timer. But we're cutting it close. Brooks helps Tors prep the rescued captives for transport as Scott makes a final attempt to stabilize the facility's power grid. Above them, the first echoes of orbital combat reach through the moon's thin atmosphere, humanity's first direct engagement with Tzenkethi military forces. Time runs critically short as they begin their emergency evacuation procedures. The reactor's failing systems threaten to compromise life support while Tzenkethi warships draw closer. They can hear the facility's structure groaning as power fluctuations stress the containment systems. Tors, prep the portable life support units, Adam orders as another tremor shakes the facility. Scott, get those stasis pods ready for transport. Tors unpacks a series of compact medical devices, their blue indicator lights casting eerie shadows across the chamber walls. The devices were to life, establishing localized environmental bubbles for the infant pods. These chambers require specialized transport conditions, TORS announces, scanning the adult Lumini containment units. Standard evac protocols won't work. Their bioluminescent organs are too sensitive to gravitational shifts. Scott's fingers dance across his datapad. The facility's transport bay might have what we need, checking inventory. His eyes widen. 3 Tzenkethi medical vessels fully equipped for xenobiological transport. Through their tactical channel, Captain West's voice cuts in. UES Horizon engaging hostile fleet. Quantum disruption grid deploying. You have 30 minutes before their reinforcements break through. Brooks moves toward the exit. I'll scout the transport bay. Kane, cover the south corridor. The reactor's warning sirens increase in pitch. Scott shakes his head at another terminal. Power grids destabilizing faster than I can compensate. We need to move. Red emergency lighting bathes the corridors in crimson as Brooks navigates the facility's maintenance paths. He finds the transport bay 2 sections over 3 sleek Tzenkethi vessels waiting with their loading ramps extended. Transport bay secured, Brooks reports, but we'll need to bypass their security systems. Tors and Scott begin the delicate process of transferring the infant pods while Adam coordinates with Kane on defensive positions. The first group of enhanced Tzenkethi guards attempts to breach through an emergency access tunnel. Adam's plasma rifle finds its mark 3 times in rapid succession, their cybernetic implants shorting out in cascading orange sparks. Dr. Scott to Alpha Squad, the quantum comm crackles, transmitting security override for the Tzenkethi vessels. Their nav systems have a backdoor we can exploit. Scott receives the data packet and begins working on the closest transport. Override successful. We have full control of life support and propulsion. A new alert flashes across Adam's tactical display. Deep-level facility scans, revealing a hidden sublevel beneath their position. Multiple cryogenic signatures detected, he reports. Looks like their primary genetic storage. Implementing remote extraction protocol, Morrison responds. Foster's virus will handle the data. Focus on getting those captives out. The facility's structure groans as another power surge ripples through the containment systems. Security barriers activate randomly throughout the complex, nearly trapping Kane as he sets his final demolition charges. Transport vessels loaded and prepped, Tors announces. All 27 infants and 13 adults stable, life support holding at optimal levels. Scott takes the controls of the lead transport while Brooks and Miller pilot the other 2. The remaining team members board their original insertion craft, weapons ready as Kane triggers his breaching charges in sequence. The explosion chain creates their escape corridor, blasting through the facility's outer barriers. Above them, the UES Horizon's quantum disruption grid illuminates the dark side of the moon in a web of energy, holding the Tzenkethi fleet at bay. Their vessels accelerate through the emergency exodus tunnels as Foster's virus completes its work, corrupting the genetic database behind them. The facility's remaining power grid fails completely, plunging the complex into darkness. Multiple hostile contacts, Scott reports as they emerge from the tunnel network. 4 interceptors on approach vector. The Tzenkethi vessels open fire, their energy weapons cutting purple arcs through space. Adam's team provides covering fire from their insertion craft, allowing the 3 transport vessels to punch through the defensive line. Beta Squad clear of Rigel facility, Harper's voice announces through the command channel. 32 additional captives secured. Intel recovered on Deneb Research Archive. Long-range sensors light up with new contacts as they clear the moon's gravity well. 3 separate Tzenkethi battle groups converge on their position, but the quantum disruption grid holds firm. All vessels form up on my wing, West commands from the Horizon's bridge. Prepare for emergency transit to Rally Point Echo. The rescued captives' life signs remain stable in their transport pods as they accelerate away from Tzenkethi space. In the lead vessel, TORS monitors the vital signs of the Lumini tissue, donors their bioluminescent patterns pulsing steadily despite the chaos of their escape. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Scott's voice cuts through the tactical channel as new contacts materialize around their position. Massive Tzenkethi battle cruisers phase into normal space, their weapon systems already charging. They anticipated our escape vectors, West broadcasts from the Horizon's bridge. All vessels, execute emergency pattern Delta. Medical transports, maintain formation behind our defensive screen. The UES Thunderchild drops out of hyperspace alongside their convoy, its sleek hull gleaming under the distant starlight. Captain Drake's voice joins the command channel, Thunderchild moving to escort position, initiating shield harmonic sequence. TORS monitors the life support readouts in the lead medical transport, noting concerning fluctuations in the environmental systems. Captain, these Tzenkethi vessels require specialized maintenance protocols, primary life support showing signs of degradation. Patching you through to Dr. Wilson, Drake responds. The Thunderchild's chief medical officer appears on TOR's display, already analyzing the incoming data. The quantum field generators are desynchronizing, Wilson notes. We need to modify the containment parameters or we'll lose atmospheric stability within 18 hours. Purple energy lances out from the Tzenkethi vessels as their boarding craft launch. The Horizon's electronic warfare suite activates, generating false sensor echoes that scatter across space. 3 enemy ships break off to pursue the phantom signatures while the rest press forward. Incoming ion pulse, Scott announces. They're targeting our propulsion systems. Implementing Aegis protocol, Drake commands. The Thunderchild's shields shimmer and expand, enveloping the nearest medical transports in a protective bubble. The ion pulse dissipates harmlessly against the modified barrier. Martinez's voice breaks through on the encrypted channel. Sir, I've isolated their tactical algorithms. Their attack formations follow preset geometric patterns based on their command structure. Send the data to my tactical display, West orders. All vessels prepare for emergency jump on my mark. TORS and Wilson work frantically to stabilize the failing life support systems. They bypass damaged control circuits and reroute power through secondary systems, buying precious time for their passengers. 2. Lumini showing critical cellular decay, TORS reports. Their bioluminescent organs are rejecting the modified stasis fields. A massive vessel materializes at the head of the Tzenkethi fleet, the Dominion's Fist. High Commander Krasthol's flagship dwarfs its escort vessels, its weapon arrays casting an ominous glow. UES Valiant reporting in position, Captain Robert Scott announces. Hyperspace corridor established at coordinates 227 Mark 43. The convoy executes a sharp turn as Martinez's decoded patterns reveal an incoming attack vector. Energy beams slice through their previous position while West coordinates their defensive screen. The Thunderchild maintains its protective field around the medical transports, though the strain on its systems shows in fluctuating power readings. Multiple boarders on intercept, Brooks calls out. 3 craft approaching from ventral vector. Horizon engaging hostiles, West responds. Thunderchild, maintain escort position. All medical transports prepare for emergency jump to supplied coordinates. The space around them erupts in weapons fire as the Tzenkethi fleet executes another coordinated strike. The Horizon's quantum disruption grid expands, creating a momentary safe zone for the vulnerable transports. Inside the lead vessel, TORS accesses another set of backup systems as warning indicators flash across his console. The stasis fields protecting their rescued passengers flicker dangerously as life support continues to degrade. Engineering reports shield harmonics at critical threshold. Drake updates. We can maintain the Aegis protocol for 3 more minutes before requiring emergency recharge. Martinez transmits another tactical update. New Tzenkethi formations detected. They're attempting to cut off our approach to the hyperspace corridor. The convoy pushes forward through the chaos of battle, racing against failing systems and pursuing forces, while Earth's outer defense perimeter waits tantalizingly beyond their reach. The rescued captives' lives hang in balance as their improvised life support solutions strain against the mounting technical challenges. High Commander Krasthol's flagship moves to block their advance, its massive form casting a shadow over the battlefield as the convoy approaches their critical decision point. The Dominion's fist looms before them, its massive silhouette blocking their trajectory as Krasthol launches his next attack. Multiple objects eject from the flagship's ventral bays, their signatures unlike any known Tzenkethi weaponry. New contacts, Ramirez announces from his tactical station aboard the Thunderchild. Phase-shifted boarding pods incoming. Standard shields won't. His warning cuts short as 3 pods pass through the defensive screens, attaching themselves to the lead medical transport's hull. Torres watches in alarm as warning indicators flash across his console. Hull breach imminent in sections 3, 5, and 7. I see a weakness in their attachment mechanism, Ramirez transmits, his fingers flying across the tactical display. Captain Drake, if we modulate shield harmonics to create precise gravitational shear. Execute, Drake orders. The Thunderchild adjusts position, its modified shields rippling with controlled distortions. 2 pods break free, tumbling into space. The 3rd pod burns through the hull before they can dislodge it. Emergency bulkheads slam shut as atmosphere vents into space. Adam grabs a weapon and magnetic boots from the emergency locker. Tor's with me. We need to seal that breach. They encounter the Tzenkethi boarding party in the depressurized corridor. Adam's plasma rifle discharges silently in the vacuum, illuminating the metallic walls with each shot. Tor's works on the hull breach while Adam provides cover, the attacker's rounds impacting nearby panels in soundless flashes. Energy spike from the Dominion's fist, Martinez reports through the command channel. Signature matches, Omega-class weapons. His voice carries the weight of recognition. They're charging planet killers. West's response is immediate, activating Solar Lance. All vessels prepare for extreme radiation. The orbital defense platforms surrounding Earth power up in sequence, their arrays aligning to channel concentrated solar plasma. The space around them illuminates with deadly potential. Inside the damaged transport, Tor's races to stabilize the failing life support systems. 3 stasis pods flash critical warnings as the hull breach disrupts their environmental controls. He removes a series of components from captured Tzenkethi medical equipment, repurposing them to maintain the infant's vital signs. Cellular degradation accelerating in Lumini subjects 7 and 12, Dr. Wilson announces through the medical channel. The Valiant's chief engineer breaks into the conversation. Routing tertiary fusion core power through the stasis chambers. It should buy us time. New contacts appear on their tactical displays as the 5th battle group arrives, the dreadnought Eternal Victory leading the formation. The Tzenkethi fleet splits to surround them. Break convoy, West commands. Thunderchild maintain transport protection. Horizon moving to engage the Dominion's fist. Valiant draw off the 5th battle group. The space around them erupts in weapons fire as their forces separate. Through the medical transport's viewport, Torres watches the Thunderchild's shields flare against repeated impacts, while he programs captured nanites to stabilize the failing Lumini. A new fleet materializes from the Kuiper belts, shadow sleek vessels of unfamiliar design, bearing UEI markings. Admiral Sullivan's voice carries across all channels. UEI Defense Fleet moving to engage. All vessels hold position. The hidden fleet engages Threshkar's forces with devastating effect, their weapons systems specifically calibrated to penetrate Tzenkethi defenses. The Eternal Victory's shields collapse under concentrated fire as Sullivan's forces demonstrate humanity's concealed military capabilities. Spatial mines detected, Martinez warns. They're seeding our approach vectors to Earth. Torres checks another set of critical readings. 2 more Lumini entering cellular failure. The nanite treatment needs exact stasis field calibration, but these evasive maneuvers. Admiral, West addresses Sullivan, we need a direct route to Earth. The captives won't survive a prolonged approach. Sullivan's response carries a note of hesitation. Initiating Project Threshold. Stand by for artificial wormhole generation. Energy begins to gather between their position and Earth as hidden UEI technology prepares to tear open space itself. The Tzenkethi fleet accelerates toward them, desperate to prevent their escape with the evidence of their breeding program. Torres continues his work with the nanites as weapon impacts rattle the medical transport. Behind them, the Dominion's fist charges its forbidden weapons, while humanity's classified capabilities emerge into plain view, forever changing the balance of galactic power. A flash of light erupts from Saturn's rings as the UES stalwart emerges, its experimental wormhole generator already charging. Captain Marcus Reed's voice joins the command channel. Shaw Fujikawa device initiating. All vessels maintain current positions. The massive device extends from the stalwart's ventral hull, its crystalline arrays pulsing with quantum energy. Director Morrison's authorization codes flow through the encrypted channels as Operation Quantum Bridge launches. Torres monitors another critical drop in the stasis field readings. Losing containment on chambers 4 and 6, he announces, fingers flying across the medical console. The captured nanites swirl through the modified equipment, fighting to maintain cellular cohesion in the failing Lumini donors. Routing emergency power, Davidson transmits from the Thunderchild, cutting weapon systems to maintain life support. The escort vessel's weapon ports go dark as energy redirects to the medical transport's critical systems. The space between the convoy and Earth shimmers as the Shaw Fujikawa device tears into the quantum fabric. Martinez's sensors light up with warnings. Captain, detecting unusual resonance patterns. The Tzenkethi weapons are interfering with the wormhole formation. Confirmed, Doctor. Scott's voice cuts in from Earth control. Their quantum destabilizers are creating a cascade effect. The spatial matrix is becoming unstable. The Dominion's fist launches another barrage. Impact flashes illuminate the Thunderchild's shields as Davidson's power transfer leaves them vulnerable. Captain Drake coordinates with the incoming UEI vessels, establishing a defensive screen around the medical transports. Inside the lead transport, Torres and Wilson work frantically to stabilize their critical patients. The experimental nanites respond to their programming, rebuilding failing cellular structures as the modified Tzenkethi equipment maintains minimal life support. Graviton pulse cannons engaging, Admiral Sullivan announces. The UEI fleet's classified weapons activate, releasing waves of concentrated gravitational energy that tear through Tzenkethi shields. The Eternal Victory's defenses collapse under the assault, its hull buckling from forces it was never designed to resist. Wormhole achieving stability, Reed reports, but these gravitational eddies. We'll only get one shot at this. High Commander Krasthal's voice booms across all frequencies. You dare reveal such weapons, then witness the true power of the Dominion. The massive flagship's weapon ports open, disgorging dozens of Omega-class projectiles. Solar Lance network activated, Sullivan responds. The orbital platforms align, channeling concentrated solar plasma toward the battlefield. The approaching Omega weapons leave trails of twisted space in their wake. Davidson's voice carries urgency. Life support failing. 28 minutes remaining at current consumption rates. The wormhole expands to its full diameter, its edges flickering with quantum instability. Captain Reed transmits transit coordinates as gravimetric sensors track the approaching wall of solar plasma. Multiple critical patients, Torres reports, watching the stasis chamber readings fluctuate. The nanite treatments are holding, but these gravitational distortions. Martinez interrupts, "Sir, analyzing these wormhole readings." The Tzenketh destabilizers are creating microsingularities along the transit path. Standard navigation won't compensate. The Dominion's fist advances through its own incoming fire, pushing closer to the wormhole as the solar lance charges. Omega weapons cross paths with graviton pulses, creating ripples of spatial distortion that threaten to tear the temporary passage apart. All vessels prepare for emergency transit, Sullivan orders. Captain Reed will lead with transit vectors. Timing must be precise to avoid gravitational shear. Torres secures the final stasis chamber connections as the medical transport systems whine under the strain. Through the viewport, he watches the wormhole's threshold fluctuate with dangerous energy patterns while the pursuing Tzenketh fleet races against the expanding wall of solar plasma. Execute emergency transit protocol, West commanded through the fleet-wide channel. Davidson, initiate shield harmonization. Davidson's fingers flew across the engineering console, linking defensive systems. All vessels synchronize shield frequencies to these parameters. The convoy's shields merged into a unified barrier as they approached the wormhole's threshold. Torres secured the final power coupling to the stasis chambers, his eyes fixed on the fluctuating life support readings. "Transit in 10 seconds, Reed announced from the stalwart. "Follow my vector precisely." The Thunderchild led the formation into the quantum tunnel, its modified shields rippling against the gravitational eddies. Martinez monitored the sensor feeds as reality distorted around them. "Structural integrity at 60%, he reported. "The Tzenketh weapons are creating a slipstream effect." In the medical bay, 2 stasis chambers flashed urgent warnings. Torres accessed the emergency protocols. "Chambers 3 and 5 failing. We need immediate transfer to the Thunderchild's medical facilities." "Routing emergency power," Davidson responded. "Weapons and non-essential systems offline." The transfer pods activated as Torres initiated the delicate process of moving the critical Lumini patients. Each motion required precise calibration to maintain cellular stability during the shift between stasis fields. Dr. Scott's voice cut through the command channel from Earth control. "Wormhole exit destabilizing. 3 minutes 40 seconds until total collapse." "Confirming calculations," Dr. Anderson added. "The quantum interference is accelerating the deterioration." The medical transport shuddered as gravitational forces intensified. Torres steadied himself against a bulkhead while guiding the transfer pods through their automated sequence. The nanites swarmed through the modified equipment, fighting to preserve the failing tissue samples. Admiral Sullivan's fleet emerged first, establishing a defensive screen around the exit aperture. Colonel Matthews' voice joined the tactical channel. "Luna defense platform activating, creating safe corridor for medical transports." The orbital defense grid powered up under Matthews' command, its weapon arrays tracking multiple vectors as the rescue vessels emerged into Earth space. A massive energy spike erupted behind them as the Dominion's fist forced its way into the collapsing wormhole. The Tzenketh flagship's hull plates buckled under the quantum stress. "All vessels clear the exit threshold," Drake ordered. Thunderchild extending shields to cover remaining transports. Davidson redirected the last reserves of power to the shield emitters. The Thunderchild's defensive screen expanded to encompass the vulnerable medical ships as Krasthul's vessel twisted in the quantum turbulence. The wormhole's structure failed catastrophically. The Dominion's fist fragmented under the gravitational forces, creating a shockwave that rippled toward the emerging convoy. The Thunderchild's shields flared brilliant blue, absorbing the impact to protect its charges. Singapore medical reporting ready, Dr. Henderson transmitted. Xenobiology wing activated. Treatment pods online. Dr. Williams' voice followed. Mars Institute protocols integrated, beginning preliminary cellular reconstruction sequences. The medical transports landed at the Singapore facility as TORS monitored the final stasis readings. The nanite treatments had preserved critical cellular function, but the patient's conditions remained precarious. Transfer the Lumini donors to treatment pod Alpha, Dr. Williams directed. Initiate xenobiological support protocols. TORS helped move the stasis chambers into the specialized medical wing. The facility's advanced systems interfaced with the modified Tzenkethi equipment, stabilizing the deteriorating tissue samples as Dr. Henderson's team began their work. Through the facility's observation windows, TORS watched the quantum aftermath of the wormhole collapse ripple across Earth's orbital space. The Thunderchild descended through the atmosphere, its shield still radiating excess energy from the transit. New contacts appeared on the long-range sensors vessels of various designs approaching Earth's defensive perimeter. Admiral Sullivan directed the UEI fleet into screening positions, while Colonel Matthews adjusted the orbital grid's coverage patterns. Dr. Henderson activated the Xenobiology wing's primary systems. Beginning critical care procedures, all medical personnel to assigned stations. The specialized treatment pods hummed to life as the rescue mission entered its next phase. TORS checked the latest readings from the Lumini tissue donors, while Dr. Williams calibrated the cellular reconstruction equipment. Quantum field stability at 15%, Martinez reported from his monitoring station. No signs of immediate Tzenkethi pursuit possible through this interference. The Singapore facility's systems continued their work as Earth's defenses adjusted to their new reality. Sullivan's revealed fleet maintained their protective formation, while diplomatic channels lit up with incoming transmissions from multiple civilizations. The Singapore facility's docking clamps engaged with precise mechanical thuds as the medical transports settled into position. Through the observation windows, TORS watched the Thunderchild take up a defensive position above the complex, its shield still radiating excess energy from the quantum transit. Medical Team Alpha, report to Loading Bay 3. Dr. Henderson's voice echoed through the facility's communication system. Prepare for immediate critical patient transfer. The Xenobiology wing's treatment chambers activated in sequence, illuminating the corridor with soft blue light. Dr. Williams directed orderlies and medical technicians as they guided hovering stasis pods through the decontamination field. Pods 1 through 3 to Intensive Care Unit Delta, Williams instructed, checking readings on his neural interface. Maintain nanite saturation levels at current parameters. The 3 surviving Lumini tissue donors emerged from their transport containers, each life sign carefully monitored as specialized equipment maintained their delicate cellular balance. Dr. Cooper arrived from the connecting shuttle, her Titan Institute credentials clearing her through security as she joined Henderson's team. Environmental controls stabilized, Tang reported from his station, adjusting settings on the modified Tzenkethi medical console. Chamber pressure and atmospheric composition matched to Lumini baseline. In the neonatal ward, Dr. Marshall activated a row of specialized incubation units. The rescued infants, transferred from their emergency pods, settled into carefully calibrated environments. Parker worked at an adjacent station, analyzing chemical markers in their bloodwork. These compound dependencies are extensive, Parker noted, sharing his findings with Marshall. The Tzenkethi engineered multiple metabolic locks into their systems. The facility's security systems activated as Torres assumed his new position. Quantum-encrypted barriers hummed to life around critical sections, while automated defense turrets emerged from concealed housings. Perimeter breach attempt detected in Sector 7, a security officer reported. Tzenkethy probe signature identified. Activate countermeasure grid beta, Torres commanded. Redirect power to the quantum masks. The first tissue transplant procedure began in Operating Theater 1. Dr. Henderson and Cooper worked in concert, their movements precise as they initiated the delicate process. Warning indicators flashed across the medical displays. Tissue rejection detected, Cooper announced, adjusting the cellular stabilizers. The genetic variance is more severe than initial scans indicated. Davidson and Martinez arrived at the adjacent engineering bay, immediately beginning modifications to the medical nanite programming. The microscopic machines required precise recalibration to address the Tzenkethy's genetic alterations. Implementing new command protocols, Martinez reported, monitoring the nanite response patterns. Estimated 3 hours until full integration. In orbit, Admiral Sullivan coordinated with Commander Hayes as Earth's defensive screen expanded. The Thunderchild joined a patrol formation, its sensors tracking multiple Tzenkethy signatures probing the outer system. Implementing rotating shield frequencies, Hayes transmitted. All vessels maintain formation Delta 7. Dr. Foster's team established their research center in a secure wing, analyzing the recovered genetic database. Holographic displays filled with complex DNA sequences as they uncovered the true scope of Project Ascendancy. These modifications go beyond simple hybridization, Foster observed, highlighting specific genetic markers. They were engineering specialized combat traits into the basic genome. The facility's alert status elevated as security sensors detected increased Tzenkethy activity. Torres redirected additional power to the defensive systems, while Dr. Henderson's team prepared for their second attempt at Willa's transplant. Arcturus Confederation vessel approaching, a communications officer announced. Their ambassador is requesting immediate contact with UEI Command. Director Morrison acknowledged the request from his secure office as Dr. Henderson initiated the modified tissue transfer protocols. The fate of multiple species hung in balance as the medical team worked to preserve lives while Earth's defenses held against increasing Tzenkethy pressure. Dr. Henderson moved swiftly through the Xenobiology Suite's airlock as the sterilization field shimmered around him. Begin tissue preparation sequence, he instructed, activating the primary surgical interface. The modified nanites flowed into the treatment chamber, their microscopic forms visible on the high-resolution displays. Davidson transmitted the final calibration data from engineering. Nanite command protocols locked, integration parameters set. Dr. Cooper positioned herself at the cellular monitoring station, eyes fixed on the real-time tissue readings. Beginning transplant procedure for patient Willa, cellular decay rate stabilizing. The surgical suite hummed with precision equipment as Henderson made the first incision. Cooper tracked each tissue layer on quantum resolution scanners, while the nanites swarmed to prevent rejection. 3 decks below, Tor's security sensors flagged an anomalous reading. Motion detected in restricted section 14, the system announced. Tor's accessed the camera feeds, catching glimpses of 3 figures in medical uniforms moving with practiced efficiency. Security teams to section 14, Tor's commanded. Full containment protocols. Lieutenant Weber led his tactical unit through the maintenance corridors, their weapons ready. Contact, Weber whispered into his comm. 3 targets approaching intersection Delta. The infiltrators moved with inhuman grace, their surgically altered features betraying no emotion as Weber's team engaged. Stun fields crackled through the corridor as security forces surrounded the Tzenkethy agents. Clear, Weber announced, securing the captured infiltrators. Found data extraction equipment. They were after the project files. In the research wing, Dr. Foster's decryption algorithms pierced Project Ascendancy's hidden layers. Personnel files cascaded across his screens, revealing a network of Earth collaborators. Director, Foster transmitted to Morrison's secure channel. Assistant Director Vance is compromised. The documentation is extensive. Morrison activated a priority channel to Intelligence Officer Reed. Initiate Operation Shadow Fall. Apprehend all identified collaborators. Doctor. Marshall's voice cut through the facility's medical channel from the neonatal unit. Genetic analysis complete on the infants. They engineered command response sequences into their DNA. Dr. Parker and the Nuluriv Dr. Reynolds huddled over genetic sequencing displays, mapping the artificial modifications. These compliance triggers are integrated at the cellular level, Reynolds observed. We need to develop a targeted retrovirus. Above the facility, Admiral Sullivan's fleet engaged the cloaked Tzenkethi vessels. The Thunderchild sensors tracked ghostly energy signatures as Earth ships executed precision maneuvers. New tracking protocols online, Hayes announced. Target lock established on stealth signatures. Ambassador Lord Kelvin's shuttle docked precisely as Intelligence Officer Boyd arrived to escort the Arcturus delegation. Commander Stark studied the facility's defenses with professional interest. The Confederation appreciates Earth's transparency in this matter, Kelvin stated as Boyd led them toward the diplomatic wing. In the surgical suite, Henderson's team achieved stable cellular integration. The nanites maintained precise control over tissue rejection, but new warning indicators filled the medical displays. Multiple dormant bioweapons detected, Cooper reported, highlighting the genetic markers. They're encoded to trigger if she attempts escape. Parker redirected his genetic sequencing equipment to analyze the new threat, beginning counteragent synthesis. Reynolds, I need your expertise on Tzenkethi biochemistry. The facility's long-range sensors detected the first quantum signatures. Multiple energy spikes appeared across the solar system, forming a geometric pattern that suggested coordinated teleportation technology. Unknown transport signatures detected, Martinez announced from his monitoring station. Configuration matches theoretical Tzenkethi designs. Admiral Sullivan's voice echoed through the command channel. All vessels adjust defensive positions. Prepare for multiple insertion points. The medical facility's shields hummed at full power as Henderson's team continued their work. Through the observation windows, Earth's orbital defense platforms shifted to new vectors, tracking the growing number of quantum anomalies that threatened to tear open the fabric of space. The quantum anomalies coalesced into solid forms as Martinez's sensors tracked multiple teleportation signatures materializing across Earth's defense grid. Bright flashes illuminated space as Tzenkethi strike vessels emerged, their weapons already firing at key orbital sensor nodes. Multiple breaches detected in defense grid sectors 3, 7, and 12, Hayes reported. Enemy forces targeting primary sensor arrays. In the Singapore facility's security center, TORs activated emergency protocols as alert klaxons sounded. Full facility lockdown initiated. All personnel to secure stations. He dispatched Weber's counterinfiltration teams to reinforce critical medical sections. Commander Phillips rushed into the facility's defense control room, neural interface linking directly with the prototype quantum interference systems. Activating disruption field. The air shimmered as invisible waves of energy emanated from concealed projectors, creating a protective bubble around the complex. 3 Tzenkethi soldiers attempted to materialize inside the medical wing. Their forms flickered and dispersed, unable to fully coalesce through Phillips' quantum interference. Weber's teams moved into position, weapons ready as security sensors tracked additional attempted breaches. In Operating Theater 1, warning lights flashed as power fluctuations rippled through the facility. The nanite containment field surrounding Willa wavered. Power grid compromised, Davidson announced over the emergency channel. Critical medical systems at risk. His fingers flew across engineering controls, implementing emergency power routing protocols, redirecting energy from research sectors, maintaining life support priority. The Thunderchild's weapons blazed overhead as Sullivan's fleet engaged the Tzenkethi assault force. The enemy flagship Destiny's Claim emerged from quantum space, its hull gleaming with advanced armor plating. Commander Vexthal's vessel identified, Sullivan transmitted. All ships adjust targeting parameters. Intelligence Officer Reed's voice cut through the command channel. Director, we've traced the information leak. Lunar Communications Hub, operated by Interstellar Medical Technologies. Corporate Director Blake is involved. Ambassador Kelvin strode into Morrison's office, his expression grave. Director, we have critical intelligence. Similar breeding facilities detected across multiple sectors. The Arcturus 7th Fleet is en route to reinforce your position. Dr. Parker analyzed genetic data as emergency lighting bathed the lab in red. We've isolated the bioweapon triggers. Doctor. Reynolds confirming your analysis of the neutralization sequence. Confirmed, Reynolds responded, but implementation requires complete system shutdown, patient survival chances at 60%. Henderson studied the medical readouts. We don't have a choice. TORS, prepare emergency resuscitation protocols. Beginning shutdown sequence in 3 minutes. The facility shuddered as Tzenkethi forces intensified their assault. Weber's teams engaged infiltrators in the lower levels, while Phillips' quantum field strained against repeated teleportation attempts. New threat detected, Hayes announced. Enemy ships deploying unknown devices around population centers. Captain Drake linked the Thunderchild's tactical systems with Major Hunt's station. Gravity well generators identified, modifying quantum disruption tech for orbital deployment. Willa's life support systems powered down as Henderson's team initiated the bioweapon neutralization procedure. TORS stood ready with resuscitation equipment while Reynolds monitored genetic markers. Through the observation windows, flashes of weapons fire illuminated space as Sullivan's fleet battled Vexthal's forces. The Tzenkethi gravity wells pulsed with increasing energy as Earth's defenders raced against time. Inside the facility, multiple battles unfolded simultaneously, Henderson fighting to save Willa's life, Weber's teams defending against infiltrators, and Phillips maintaining the quantum interference field that kept the enemy at bay. Gravity well activation sequence detected, Hunt reported from the Thunderchild's weapons control. Initiating countermeasures. The surgical suite's monitors displayed Willa's failing vital signs as Henderson worked to neutralize the genetic weapons buried in her cells. Beyond the facility's walls, Earth's fate hung in balance as forces clashed in space and shadow wars played out in secured computer networks. New sensor contacts appeared at the system's edge, the first ships of the Arcturus 7th Fleet arriving to join the battle. The Arcturus ships emerged from hyperspace in precise formation, their advanced shields creating rippling patterns of energy across Earth's orbital space. Admiral Drake's flagship, the Harbinger, positioned itself at the head of the defensive sphere, while the rest of the 7th Fleet deployed around critical installations. In the Singapore facility's medical bay, Davidson's autonomous power systems activated as the main grid fluctuated. Blue emergency lights cast stark shadows across the surgical suite, while specialized capacitors maintained steady power to the life support equipment. Autonomous systems engaged, Davidson reported from his engineering station. Medical bay isolated from facility power grid. Tors positioned mobile life support units around Willa's bed as Henderson prepared the neutralization sequence. Backup systems ready, oxygen reserves at maximum. Dr. Reynolds loaded the genetic counteragent into the delivery system, the modified Tzenkethy technology humming with contained energy. Counteragent prepared, cellular targeting matrix aligned. The facility shuddered as Vexthal's boarding craft impacted the outer hull. Molecular disassemblers began breaking down the reinforced walls, creating spreading patterns of decay across the structure. Hull breach imminent in sections 12 through 15, Martinez announced. Davidson's hands flew across his console, activating the experimental defense network. Microscopic constructors swarmed through the facility's infrastructure, rebuilding damaged sections faster than the Tzenkethy weapons could destroy them. The walls rippled with silver patterns as nanites reinforced the molecular structure. In the lower levels, Weber's security teams encountered phase-shifted Tzenkethy troops walking through solid barriers. Contact. They're bypassing physical containment. Security systems specialist Zhang accessed the force field controls from his newly established command post, modifying shield harmonics, implementing multiphasic barrier grid. Energy fields sparkled to life in overlapping layers, creating a complex defensive matrix. A Tzenkethy soldier attempted to phase through a corridor wall and became trapped between barrier frequencies, his partially shifted form frozen in place. Phase shift countermeasures successful, Zhang reported, deploying pattern across all critical sectors. Above the facility, Admiral Sullivan's fleet targeted the remaining gravity well generators. The specialized EMP warheads streaked through space, their quantum disruption fields spreading like invisible nets. Direct hits on generators 4 and 5, Hunt transmitted from the Thunderchild's weapons control. Quantum stabilization fields collapsing. The 2 surviving generators activated before they could be destroyed. Gravitational distortions rippled across Earth's eastern seaboard, creating visible distortions in the atmosphere. In the medical research wing, Dr. Parker and Dr. Ward examined neural scans from the rescued infants. Complex patterns of artificial synaptic connections filled their displays, revealing the extent of Tzenkethy modifications. These control pathways are integrated with basic autonomic functions, Ward observed, highlighting critical neural clusters. We'll need precise targeting to disable them without causing systemic damage. At the Lunar Communications Hub, intelligence teams secured Corporate Director Blake as Reed recovered data from encrypted systems. The information revealed a vast network of compromised officials and corporations, their connections to the Tzenkethy carefully hidden behind layers of shell companies and falsified records. Counterintelligence Chief Harrison established a secure link to Director Morrison. "Sir, we're mapping the corporate infiltration network. Multiple board members from Interstellar Medical implicated." In the surgical suite, Henderson initiated the final phase of Willa's treatment. Warning indicators flashed as her vital signs responded to the genetic counteragent. "Cellular breakdown detected," Cooper announced, monitoring the tissue readings. "Bioweapon triggers activating." Reynolds adjusted the counteragent delivery rate, increasing neutralization factors. Targeting specific genetic markers. The facility's sensors detected new quantum signatures as Vexthal launched another wave of boarding craft. Davidson's nanite defense system responded automatically, strengthening hull sections before impact. The air filled with the sound of molecular reconstruction as walls rebuilt themselves under attack. Commander Stark stepped into Morrison's office with updated intelligence. "Director, our analysts have confirmed additional Tzenkethy assets throughout the system. They've established hidden facilities on multiple moons and asteroids." Tors coordinated security responses as more phase-shifted infiltrators attempted to breach the lower levels. Zhang's modified force fields trapped them between dimensional states, while Weber's teams moved in to secure each sector. Through the facility's armored windows, flashes of weapons fire illuminated space as three fleets engaged in synchronized combat. Earth's defenders, Arcturus reinforcements, and Tzenkethi attackers, locked in an orbital dance of destruction and survival. Through the facility's observation windows, Sullivan's fleet exchanged fire with Tzenkethi vessels as Dr. Henderson prepared for the final phase of Willa's treatment. Chief Medical Administrator Williams strode into the surgical suite, reviewing emergency protocols on his tablet. Life support systems primed, Williams announced, activating backup medical arrays. Implementing tertiary safeguards for critical biofunctions. Combat medic tours monitored banks of displays showing Willa's vital signs. Pulse elevated but stable, oxygen saturation at 94%. A sharp alert tone cut through the medical bay. Dr. Parker's voice transmitted from the infant care unit. Neural anomalies detected in rescued subjects. Pattern matching shows synchronized quantum signatures. Reynolds pulled up neural scans on the main display. Complex webs of artificial synaptic pathways pulsed in response to external signals. The Tzenkethi modifications are linking to Commander Vexthal's command frequencies. They're becoming organic transmitters. Security Chief Torres accessed facility controls, initiating emergency containment, converting lower medical wing to quantum-shielded status, sealing all access points. Davidson's hands flew across engineering interfaces as he repurposed defensive systems, redirecting power to create localized dampening field. Dr. Henderson, this will impact your power reserves. Treatment window is now 15 minutes. Understood, Henderson responded, administering the first dose of genetic counteragent. Beginning accelerated neutralization sequence. The facility's lights dimmed as power rerouted to the infant care unit. Williams activated portable illumination units around the surgical bed, while Torres adjusted life support settings. Above the facility, Admiral Sullivan's voice transmitted across command frequencies. All ships, implement synchronized shield modulation. Colonel Bennett's barrier protocol active. The combined Earth and Arcturus fleets shifted formation, their shields linking into an overlapping defensive screen. Gaps appeared at precise intervals, allowing medical shuttles to pass while blocking Tzenkethi teleportation attempts. Counterintelligence Chief Harrison's tactical update appeared on Morrison's primary display. Director, Lunar Manufacturing Facility discovered beneath Blake's communications hub. Tzenkethi genetic manipulation equipment confirmed. Commander Wilson is deploying Luna Security Division assets. Dr. Ward's analysis programs identified a critical pattern in the infant neural data. These synchronized pathways, we can trace them back to their source. Martinez accessed the sensor array controls, modifying detection protocols, piggybacking on neural frequencies. Got it. Tracking Tzenkethi command signals to the Destiny's claim. The surgical suite's monitors showed Willa's cellular structure responding to the counteragent. Henderson adjusted the delivery rate as bioweapon triggers began breaking down. Neural patterns destabilizing in subjects 3 through 7, Parker reported from the infant care unit. Beginning signal disruption sequence. Reynolds transmitted modified treatment protocols to Parker's station. Target these specific synaptic clusters. We need to sever the Tzenkethi control pathways without damaging autonomous functions. Strategic operations displays lit up with new contacts near Jupiter. Multiple Tzenkethi vessels detected, Colonel Bennett announced. Carrying construction materials consistent with large-scale breeding facilities. Admiral Sullivan accessed tactical overlays as the Destiny's claims position became clear. All ships prepare for coordinated strike. Target data incoming from facility sensors. Henderson focused on Willa's treatment as the battle expanded across the solar system. The counteragent circulated through her system, methodically neutralizing Tzenkethi genetic modifications, while Tors maintained critical life support functions. Dr. Parker and Dr. Reynolds worked in parallel, their neural disruption protocols spreading through the infant care unit's quantum-shielded space. One by one, the artificial control pathways began disconnecting from Vexthal's command frequencies. Martinez continued tracking Tzenkethi communications through the traced neural signals. Additional encrypted channels detected, they're coordinating with assets throughout the system. The combined fleet's weapons charged as Sullivan prepared to launch the counteroffensive. Through the facility's armored windows, Earth's orbital space filled with the approaching shapes of Tzenkethi reinforcements, their hulls gleaming against the backdrop of Jupiter's distant form. Shapes as thousands of readouts flooded Martinez's tactical display. The facility's sensors tracked multiple hostile signatures emerging from Jupiter's shadow, their hulls jam-packed with construction equipment and genetic manipulation technology. In the surgical suite, Henderson's monitors lit up with encouraging data. The counteragent circulated through Willa's system, breaking down the bioweapon triggers at a cellular level. Tors adjusted the life support settings as her vital signs stabilized. Cellular reconstruction at 60%, Reynolds announced, examining the genetic scans. Lumini baseline parameters restoring. Davidson's power management systems hummed steadily, maintaining critical energy flow to the medical equipment. Treatment power reserves holding at acceptable levels, 12 minutes remaining. An urgent alert from the infant care unit cut through the relative calm. Medical systems compromised. Parker's voice carried clear tension, neural synchronization affecting life support controls. Dr. Brian Cooper rushed into the infant care unit, his Mars Medical Institute credentials still displayed on his temporary badge. His fingers flew across the system interfaces, implementing hardware-level security protocols. Initiating emergency lockouts, Cooper reported. Severing automated control pathways. Tors, I need manual backup for life support regulation. Above the facility, Sullivan's fleet executed a precision attack pattern. The Destiny's Claims position stood revealed through the traced neural signatures, its defensive screens flickering under concentrated fire. Marine Team Alpha, deploy for boarding action, Captain Marcus Steele commanded from his assault shuttle. His quantum-shielded armor systems powered up, neutralizing the Tzenkethi phase-shift frequencies. Target their command and control sections. Commander Wilson's voice cut in from the lunar surface. UEI Luna Division has secured the underground complex. Multiple genetic engineering stations discovered. Harrison, uploading database contents now. The data painted a chilling picture detailed profiles of Earth's population centers, each marked for specific breeding program implementation. Harrison's analysis program sorted through the encrypted files, mapping the extent of Tzenkethi infiltration. Thunderchild moving to intercept Jupiter construction fleet, Captain Drake transmitted. UEI Field Commander Roberts coordinating with Jovian Defense Forces. Martinez's enhanced sensor feeds detected an anomaly in the neural control patterns. Director Morrison, these signals extend beyond our system, detecting master control source at extreme range. Activating deep space reconnaissance, Colonel Thomas Reynolds responded. His sister Dr. Reynolds looked up briefly from her work at the familiar voice. Beginning long-range sweep patterns, Dr. Ward's neural analysis revealed new complications. Emergency. Detection of termination failsafes in infant neural patterns, activating containment protocols. Dr. Michael Scott rushed into the infant care unit, neural inhibitor components already assembled. Beginning failsafe suppression. Dr. Williams, need your assistance with pattern matching. Through the observation windows, space lit up with weapons fire as Steele's boarding teams breached the Destiny's Claims outer hull. The quantum-shielded Marines pushed through phase-shifted barriers, targeting the neural control transmitters. Security, Chief Tor's tactical display lit up with new warnings. Multiple phase-shifted signatures detected in lower levels. Energy patterns don't match previous infiltration attempts. The facility's long-range sensors detected movement near Saturn, dozens of Tzenkethi vessels emerging from the planet's rings. Their formation suggested a coordinated assault pattern, designed to split Earth's defensive forces. Davidson rerouted power to critical systems as Henderson completed Willa's treatment. The counteragent's work showed clearly in the cellular scans human genetic structure restored, bioweapon triggers neutralized, artificial modifications breaking down. Neural inhibitor online, Scott announced from the infant care unit. Failsafe suppression holding at 80%. Dr. Williams, detecting resistance in subjects 4 and 7. The battle for Earth's orbital space intensified as Steele's Marines fought through the Destiny's Claims corridors, while Drake's Thunderchild engaged the approaching construction fleet. Each moment brought new tactical challenges as the Tzenkethi sought to preserve their breeding program's infrastructure, while UEI forces worked to dismantle it completely. Security alerts flashed across Tor's tactical display as multiple breach points activated simultaneously. Phase-shifted signatures appeared throughout the facility's lower sectors, their energy patterns deviating from previous infiltration attempts. Weber, deploy antiphase teams, Tor's commanded, distributing security forces across critical sectors. Dr. Mitchell's new armor systems are online and calibrated. Lieutenant Weber's security teams moved with practiced efficiency, their newly developed armor emitting a subtle blue glow as antiphase fields activated. Teams Alpha through Delta moving to intercept, engaging infiltrators in sectors 3, 7, and 12. The facility's power grid fluctuated as Tzenkethi cyberwarfare units launched coordinated attacks. Emergency lights activated in the medical wing as Davidson initiated emergency protocols. Transferring critical systems to isolated backup power, Davidson announced, his fingers dancing across engineering controls. Shutting down non-essential sectors to maintain medical capacity. In the infant care unit, Dr. Parker's monitors detected an alarming signal pattern. Hidden transmitter located in captured Tzenkethi equipment. Neural failsafe activation signals detected. Signal Operations Specialist Grant rushed to the central monitoring station, connecting specialized jamming equipment. Implementing signal isolation protocols. Dr. Ward, I need real-time neural pattern data to match interference frequencies. The facility shook as Weber's teams engaged phase-shifted infiltrators. Antiphase armor allowed security forces to directly interact with the Tzenkethi attackers, neutralizing their dimensional advantage. Near Jupiter, the UES Thunderchild's weapons carved precise paths through the Tzenkethi construction fleet's defenses. Captain Drake coordinated with Marine boarding teams as they breached the lead vessel's hull. Construction schematics secured, Captain Steele transmitted from inside the Tzenkethi ship. Breeding facility components identified. Multiple orbital platforms planned for human space. Commander Wilson's voice cut in from Luna. Underground network discovered beneath initial facility. Tunnel system extends through multiple sectors. Major Cooper deploying specialized clearing teams. Martinez analyzed incoming data streams, correlating patterns across multiple star systems. Director Morrison, breeding program signatures detected in 12 distinct species populations. 3 galactic sectors affected. Morrison activated secure communications to UEI Central Command. Colonel Richards, Xenological Liberation Division is now active. Begin rescue operation planning for identified species groups. In the medical wing, Dr. Williams and Dr. Scott worked rapidly to prepare neural inhibitor doses. Dr. Kane, Life support modifications ready for simultaneous treatment, Scott announced. Combat medic tours monitored patient stability as the modified systems activated. Neural inhibitor distribution beginning. Vital signs holding steady across all subjects. The facility's long-range sensors tracked new contacts approaching from the Kuiper belt. Davidson diverted additional power to defensive systems as security chief tours received updated intelligence. Specialized Tzenkethi recovery teams inbound, tours reported, modifying defense patterns. They're targeting the rescued subjects. Weber realigned security forces to prioritize medical wing protection. Grant's jamming equipment hummed as it blocked neural activation signals. Failsafe transmitter neutralized. Dr. Parker, neural patterns stabilizing in all subjects. Through the facility's armored windows, Sullivan's fleet engaged the approaching Tzenkethi vessels. The UES Thunderchild emerged from Jupiter's orbit, its hull bearing scars from the construction fleet battle. Additional breeding facility data recovered, steel transmitted from the captured construction vessel. Complete deployment plans downloaded. Harrison, beginning encrypted transmission. The battle for Singapore Station intensified as Weber's antiphase teams fought to contain multiple breach points. Davidson balanced power distribution between critical systems as Grant maintained signal protection for the vulnerable patients. Above the facility, Sullivan's fleet moved to intercept the incoming Tzenkethi recovery forces. Security alerts flashed across every monitor as phase-shifted signatures multiplied throughout the lower sectors. Major Alexander Pierce strode into the command center, his Mars Special Operations insignia gleaming under the emergency lighting. Implementing stratified defense protocol, Pierce announced, connecting his tactical systems to the facility's network. Lieutenant Weber, realign your teams into three-dimensional coverage patterns. We'll create overlapping fields using both conventional and antiphase barriers. Davidson's fingers flew across engineering controls as Tzenkethi cyberattacks hammered the facility's systems. They're targeting our neural scanning equipment. Grant, help me isolate the medical wings network. Converting life support to autonomous units, Grant responded, connecting portable power cores to each system. Dedicated processors online. Medical network severing from main grid in 3, 2, 1. The isolation protocol activated just as new alarms blared from the treatment area. Dr. Henderson's voice carried clear urgency. Willa's cellular stability dropping. Detection of secondary bioweapon triggers. Dr. Reynolds analyzed the incoming data streams. Multiple redundant systems detected. The Tzenkethi programming is adapting to our countermeasures. Chief Biochemist Parker rushed into the lab, carrying a sealed container of iridescent nanites. Retrieved these from the lunar facility. They can neutralize the backup triggers, but will need precise calibration during active combat conditions. The infant care unit's monitors flashed with warning indicators as Dr. Ward tracked evolving neural patterns. The failsafes are mutating. Dr. Kane, we need electromagnetic isolation immediately. Kane's modifications created visible distortion fields around each infant's bed. Dr. Williams worked rapidly at a nearby station, adjusting neural inhibitor formulas to match the changing threat. Above the facility, space lit up with weapons fire as Admiral Sullivan's fleet engaged the incoming Tzenkethi vessels. The ships carried distinctive biosensor arrays, specialized recovery teams, led by an imposing figure visible through tactical feeds. Elite Commander Raxthal confirmed, Martinez reported. Biotracking systems detected across all approaching vessels. Activating quantum scramblers, Fleet Commander Hayes transmitted. The experimental devices created rippling distortions in space, disrupting the Tzenkethi tracking beams. Harrison's voice cut in from the lunar complex. Director Morrison, We've identified surgically altered T-Zenkethy agents in Earth's medical network, sending data to Colonel Maxwell now. The UES Thunderchild emerged from its Jupiter engagement, bearing fresh battle scars. Captain Drake and communications specialist Sarah Scott analyzed unusual transmission patterns between enemy vessels. Multiple dormant facilities detected, Scott reported, her fingers dancing across communication arrays. They're preparing activation sequences throughout the system. Davidson diverted power to critical systems as Pierce's defensive strategy took shape. Antiphase barriers created overlapping fields of blue energy while conventional defenses filled the gaps. Security teams moved with practiced precision, their positions creating an interlocking network of coverage zones. In the medical wing, Parker calibrated the lunar nanites while Henderson monitored Willa's deteriorating condition. The facility shook from repeated impacts as Sullivan's fleet engaged Raxthal's forces, each hit testing the newly established defensive grid. Martinez's analysis of the master control data revealed an even darker purpose behind the breeding program. Operation Genesis confirmed, she announced. Earth designated as primary hybrid Army production center. Pierce coordinated with Weber as new phase-shifted signatures appeared at multiple entry points. The layered defenses held against the first wave, but facility sensors detected additional T-Zenkethy forces approaching from multiple vectors. Medical wing security reinforced, Weber reported as his teams established additional protective cordons. All critical treatment areas covered by overlapping fields. Davidson's power management systems hummed at maximum capacity, maintaining vital systems while Grant's signal isolation protected the vulnerable patients. Through the armored windows, fresh waves of T-Zenkethy vessels emerged from multiple approach vectors, their bio-tracking arrays scanning for their lost test subjects. Multiple energy signatures pierced the facility's outer defenses as Raxthal's recovery teams breached the perimeter. Their advanced phase-shifting technology created rippling distortions in the air as they materialized within the station's corridors. Security Chief Torres accessed the facility's environmental controls. Major Pierce initiating gravity plate modifications in maintenance corridors Alpha through Delta. Pierce nodded, directing security teams through his tactical display. Weber, position antiphase units at junction points. Convert these corridors into containment zones. The modified gravity plating activated with a low hum. T-Zenkethy strike teams found themselves caught in alternating fields of crushing and zero gravity, their phase-shifted forms disrupted by the fluctuating forces. In the medical wing, Dr. Henderson's monitors displayed a cascade of changing cellular patterns as Parker calibrated the lunar nanites. The iridescent particles flowed through specialized delivery systems, targeting the secondary bioweapon triggers in Willa's system. Neural stability increasing, Combat Medic Torres reported, tracking vital signs. Cellular degradation halting across all affected tissues. The infant care unit's electromagnetic fields flickered, casting strange shadows across the medical equipment. Dr. Kane's instruments detected the source quantum scanning beams from T-Zenkethy vessels, probing for their modified subjects. Martinez, Kane called, we need to mask these signatures immediately. Martinez's fingers flew across quantum interface controls, inverting detection patterns now, creating false echo returns to their scanners. The protective field stabilized, shielding the infants from detection while maintaining neural inhibition. Dr. Williams and Dr. Ward worked nearby, studying quantum particle readings from their young patients. Dr. Wright, Ward called to the newly arrived quantum specialist, we've isolated the entangled particles. They're concentrated in the basal ganglia. Wright analyzed the neural scans, developing a particle neutralization sequence. Beginning synchronized pulse emission, monitor synaptic responses carefully. Above the facility, Admiral Sullivan's fleet engaged Raxthal's forces as new contacts appeared near lunar orbit. Captain Robert Scott's mining analysis revealed the true nature of the Tzenkethi equipment. "They're converting the Copernicus mines," Scott transmitted. "Breeding facility construction patterns match recovered data." Commander Wilson's voice cut through the tactical channel. "Luna Security Division deploying to mining sectors, establishing defensive perimeter around critical infrastructure." Colonel Maxwell coordinated simultaneous raids across Earth's surface. Foster medical facility infiltration confirmed in Singapore, Houston, and Berlin. Local authorities are securing perimeters. The UES Thunderchild emerged from Mars orbit, its hull reflecting the red planet's light. Captain Drake's strike team transmitted data from the captured breeding facility. 3 additional complexes identified in the asteroid belt, Drake reported. Forwarding construction signatures to Fleet Command. Davidson's engineering teams worked rapidly to isolate critical medical systems as biohazard alerts activated throughout the facility. Raxthal's bioweapons registered on environmental sensors, targeting life support infrastructure. Converting medical wing to sealed operation, Davidson announced. Implementing classroom containment protocols. Security feeds showed Weber's teams engaging Tzenkethi strike forces at multiple points. The modified gravity plating proved effective, disrupting phase-shifted attackers as they materialized. Antiphase armor allowed UEI forces to engage directly, neutralizing threats before they could reach critical areas. Martinez's sensor array detected new signatures approaching from Proxima Centauri. Multiple transit points activating. Large-scale Tzenkethi fleet movements detected. In the medical wing, Willa's treatment showed marked improvement as Parker's reprogrammed nanites systematically eliminated the redundant bioweapon triggers. The quantum particle neutralization procedure continued in the infant care unit. Dr. Wright's careful calibrations preserving neural tissue while eliminating Tzenkethi control systems. Security Chief Torres studied tactical projections of Earth's population centers, analyzing newly discovered Tzenkethi assault plans. The facility shook as another wave of recovery teams attempted to breach the defensive perimeter, their face-shifted forms distorting as they encountered the modified gravity fields. Davidson's environmental monitoring systems detected an alarming shift in atmospheric composition. Biological agents detected in ventilation system, Davidson announced, inputting emergency lockdown sequences. Implementing containment protocols. Armored barriers slid into place, dividing the medical wing into isolated zones as filtered air systems activated. Dr. Marcus Anderson from UEI Containment Division strode into the Engineering Control Center, carrying specialized detection equipment. "Initial analysis shows targeted respiratory vectors," Anderson said, connecting his devices to Davidson's monitoring station. The Tzenkethi designed these agents to compromise life support while preserving their test subjects. Security Chief Torres coordinated with Anderson, establishing tiered decontamination barriers between sectors. Weber, fall back to position Delta. We're creating clean zones for patient evacuation. In the treatment ward, Dr. Henderson's monitors displayed encouraging data from Willa's cellular reconstruction. The reprogrammed nanites had successfully neutralized the secondary triggers, but new warning indicators caught Parker's attention. "Dormant viral structures detected," Parker announced, studying the molecular patterns. "It's engineered to activate if she encounters other Lumini." Dr. James Wilson, newly arrived from Mars containment, analyzed the viral signatures. This strain shows designed transmission vectors. They wanted to ensure no rescued subject could safely return home. The facility rocked as phase-shifted Tzenkethi forces breached the outer medical sector. Lieutenant Weber's teams engaged the infiltrators in close-quarters combat, while Dr. Kane directed emergency patient transfers. Martinez, activate quantum shielding in Inner Chamber 3, Kane called, monitoring vital signs during transport. We need those neural patterns stable during transfer. Major Thomas Reed deployed automated defense turrets along the evacuation routes, their sensors calibrated to detect phase-shifted signatures. The weapons tracked and engaged Tzenkethi soldiers attempting to materialize within the defensive perimeter. Above Saturn, Admiral Sullivan's fleet intercepted Tzenkethi supply vessels. UEI technical division teams discovered vast chambers filled with genetic engineering equipment and early-stage cloning pods. They're converting Titan's subsurface facilities, Colonel Richard Hayes transmitted from his command post on Enceladus, establishing permanent defense installations across all major moons. Colonel Maxwell's teams coordinated simultaneous raids across Earth's population centers. Water security specialist Dr. Brian Morrison's analysis revealed Tzenkethi agents positioned near primary reservoirs. Behavior-altering compounds detected in filtration systems, Morrison reported. Emergency protocols activated. All major distribution networks locked down. The UES Thunderchild's recovered data identified the primary control center near Proxima Centauri. Major Michael Scott's deep space reconnaissance revealed critical weaknesses in the asteroid facility's defensive grid. Their shield harmonics fluctuate during quantum communications, Scott transmitted, targeting data forwarded to Fleet Command. In the infant care unit, Dr. Williams and Dr. Ward completed the particle neutralization procedure. Dr. Thomas Wright studied the unexpected readings from their neural scans. The modified healing factor remains active, Wright noted, but completely independent of Tzenkethi control systems. These abilities could revolutionize trauma treatment. Security Chief Tor's tactical display lit up with new signatures as Elite Commander Raxthal's reinforcement request reached the Tzenkethi home fleet. Energy patterns near Proxima Centauri indicated massive construction, efforts transportation arrays designed to move entire facilities beyond UEI's reach. Parker and Wilson worked rapidly to develop a vaccine against the engineered virus, their laboratory sealed within its own containment field. The facility's modified defenses held against waves of biological and conventional attacks, while plans formed for expanded operations against Tzenkethi breeding centers throughout nearby systems. Martinez's sensors detected new quantum fluctuations as additional Tzenkethi vessels emerged from faster-than-light travel. Their bio-tracking arrays probed the facility's defenses, searching for vulnerabilities in the overlapping protective fields. Martinez's sensor warning blared as new energy signatures emerged around the facility's perimeter. Sonic disruptors detected, he announced, tracking multiple deployment points. Structural integrity compromising in sectors 7 through 12. The building shuddered as waves of sonic energy battered its foundations. Microfractures appeared in reinforced walls as Raxthal's specialized weapons targeted critical support structures. Davidson's fingers flew across engineering controls. Dr. Anderson, initiating experimental reinforcement protocols. Dr. Kevin Anderson stepped forward, connecting his equipment to Davidson's systems. The structural defense specialist's devices hummed to life, projecting lattices of blue-white energy through the facility's framework. The energy web spread through walls and support columns, counteracting the sonic assault's destructive resonance. Structural integrity stabilizing, Davidson reported. Reinforcement field holding at 87% efficiency. In the medical wing, Dr. Henderson's monitors displayed final cellular reconstruction patterns. The modified nanites swarmed through Willa's system, systematically eliminating the last traces of Tzenkethi viral programming. Treatment phase complete, Henderson announced. All engineered viral structures neutralized. Parker analyzed the incoming data streams, isolating key molecular sequences. Beginning vaccine synthesis. Dr. Wilson, confirming these protein chains match recovered Lumini genetic samples. Wilson studied the molecular patterns. Confirmed. These modifications should prevent viral activation during future contact. The facility rocked as Tszentkethi forces breached the outer medical wing. Security feeds showed phase-shifted soldiers materializing through disabled barriers, their weapons targeting life support systems. Medical transport teams to positions, Torres commanded. Captain Scott, initiate emergency relocation protocols. Scott's teams moved with practiced efficiency, transferring infants through specially shielded medical pods. The reinforced maintenance tunnels provided secure routes to the underground bunker complex. Life support active in lower medical center, Scott reported as monitoring systems came online. All critical treatment equipment operational. Above Saturn's rings, reality itself seemed to fragment as Kexthal's vessels phased between multiple positions. Traditional targeting systems failed to track the advanced battleships as they attacked from shifting vectors. Implementing new combat protocols, Hayes transmitted across the fleet, switching to predictive targeting matrices. Major Wright's algorithms analyzed phase shift patterns, identifying probabilistic attack corridors. UEI vessels adjusted their fire patterns, catching Tszentkethi ships as they rematerialized. Colonel Maxwell's teams moved through Singapore's underground passages, approaching the hidden command center. Major Cooper, hostile contact in sectors 3 and 4. Cooper's urban warfare specialists deployed modified sensor drones, mapping Tszentkethi defensive positions. Breach points identified. Initiating synchronized assault. Martinez's analysis revealed rows of genetic sequencing data. Sir, correlating captured files with human genome maps, they're targeting specific adaptive traits. Colonel Richard Anderson received the data at the newly established Genetic Defense Division. Beginning countermeasure development. We'll need to protect multiple genetic vectors simultaneously. The UES Thunderchild sensors detected massive power signatures near Proxima Centauri. Captain Drake studied the emerging construction patterns. Major Steele, targeting analysis complete, Drake transmitted. Power distribution nodes identified in sectors Alpha through Gamma. Steele's assault teams prepared for precision strikes on the teleportation array's vulnerable systems. Strike teams in position, awaiting final approach vectors. Through the facility's armored windows, fresh waves of Tszentkethi vessels emerged from hyperspace corridors. Their bio-tracking arrays probed Earth's atmosphere, searching for deployment vectors for their specialized weapons. Security Chief Torres accessed newly updated defense grids. Atmospheric containment fields activating. Multiple contamination attempts detected at grid points 17 through 23. The facility's reinforced structure held against continued sonic assault as Davidson and Anderson's energy lattice adapted to changing attack patterns. In the underground bunker, medical teams continued vital treatments while above, UEI forces engaged the Tszentkethi fleet across multiple fronts. Colonel Richard Hayes tracked the incoming energy signatures as additional Tszentkethi vessels dropped out of hyperspace. Through the facility's reinforced windows, the night sky lit up with weapons fire as Earth's defense fleet engaged the attackers. Multiple bioweapon signatures detected in maintenance access tunnels, Martinez announced, his fingers flying across the sensor controls. Infiltration units approaching through sections 12 through 15. Security Chief Torres activated the facility-wide communication system. All personnel initiate emergency evacuation protocols. Medical teams prepare for immediate patient transfer. Dr. Marcus Wallace rushed into the engineering control center, carrying specialized quantum projection equipment. Chief Davidson connecting new shielding matrix now. Davidson's hands moved across the controls as he integrated Wallace's systems. Sheets of crystalline energy manifested around the facility's perimeter, deflecting the continued sonic assault. Shield harmonics stable, Wallace reported, monitoring the quantum field strength. 93% coverage achieved. In the medical wing, Dr. Henderson disconnected the last treatment monitoring systems from Willa's bed. The facility's lights flickered as Tzenkethy cyber attacks targeted the power grid. Dr. Connor, Henderson called, patient stabilized for transport, maintaining cellular reconstruction field at minimal power. Medical Systems Specialist James Connor wheeled a specialized transport pod into position. Life Support Pod online, quantum-isolated power core active. The building shook as Tzenkethy forces breached the upper levels. Lieutenant Weber's security teams engaged the infiltrators with modified phase disruption weapons. Multiple contacts, Sector 7, Weber transmitted. Martinez, we need those sensor feeds. Dr. Kane and Martinez established emergency communications links in the underground bunker. Medical readouts from the transferred infants streamed to Admiral Sullivan's fleet monitoring stations. All vital signs stable, Kane reported, studying the neural pattern displays. Quantum isolation fields maintaining cellular stability during transport. Colonel Anderson's analysis appeared on the main tactical display. Radiation signature analysis complete. Their genetic modifications require periodic reinforcement. Dr. Thomas Burke studied the data patterns. These control systems degrade without specific radiation treatments, beginning accelerated neutralization protocols. Above the facility, Earth's defense fleet implemented new combat strategies. Modified sensor buoys activated, their quantum detection systems tracking Tzenkethy phase signatures. Target vectors confirmed. Major Robert Scott transmitted from the fleet's tactical center. Firing solutions updated for phase transition points. In Singapore's underground complex, Colonel Maxwell's teams breached the Tzenkethy command center. Counterintelligence Chief Harrison accessed the captured database terminals. Colonel Stone, Harrison transmitted, downloading facility coordinates now. 23 breeding centers identified across human space. The UES Thunderchild's weapons found their mark. Captain Drake watched as the Proxima teleportation array's power core destabilized. Emergency warnings blared as nanite clouds emerged from automated defense systems. Dr. Parker, containment breach in progress, Drake transmitted, initiating emergency protocols. William Parker activated modified EMP devices throughout the array complex. Waves of electromagnetic energy swept through the structure, neutralizing the nanite swarms. Security Chief Torres received encrypted transmissions from Earth's population centers. Multiple sleeper agents activated. Raxthal coordinating simultaneous strikes. Viral agents detected in colonial air systems, Martinez reported. Designed to trigger dormant genetic modifications. The facility rocked as another wave of Tzenkethy forces materialized within the perimeter. Through the quantum shielding, fresh enemy vessels emerged from hyperspace, their weapons targeting Earth's orbital defense platforms. Emergency evacuation protocols initiated, Torres announced through the facility-wide communication system. All medical personnel proceed to designated transport points. The Singapore facility's reinforced walls shuddered as Davidson activated emergency engineering protocols. Sheets of blue energy cascaded through support structures, creating controlled collapse zones to seal off sensitive areas. Structural integrity fields reconfigured, Davidson reported, fingers dancing across control interfaces. Beginning progressive seal industry sequence in compromised sectors. In the medical wing, Dr. Henderson disconnected the last monitoring systems from Willa's bed. Combat medic Torres secured the specialized transport pod as warning klaxons echoed through the corridors. UES Mercy on final approach, Captain Winters transmitted from the medical frigate's command deck. Docking collar alignment in progress. The facility's walls pulsed with quantum dispersal fields as Tzenkethi forces materialized in the upper levels. Lieutenant Weber's security teams engaged the infiltrators with concentrated bursts from face disruption rifles. Multiple breaches detected, Martinez called out. Hostile units converging on evacuation routes Alpha and Gamma. Major Reed's gravity manipulation devices activated throughout the emergency corridors. Localized gravitational fields shifted and pulsed, creating protected channels for the medical transport teams. Evacuation corridor stable, Reed transmitted. Medical teams move now. Dr. Kane monitored vital signs as transport pods carried infants through the secured passages. The underground bunkers reinforced doors sealed behind each group, preventing Tzenkethi pursuit. Above Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Sullivan's tactical display lit up with new threat signatures. Environmental Defense Specialist Morrison analyzed the emerging patterns. Atmospheric processors detected, Morrison reported. Energy signatures consistent with large-scale environmental modification systems. Earth's orbital platforms rotated into firing positions, their weapons tracking the Tzenkethi deployment vectors. Energy beams lanced through space, intercepting the atmospheric manipulation devices. In the Proxima Centauri system, Captain Drake accessed the captured Tzenkethi database. Encrypted files revealed detailed schematics of the Sirius breeding facility. Colonel Scott, Drake transmitted, downloading facility specifications now. Primary control systems identified in central genetic modification chambers. Security systems analyst Wilson implemented new detection algorithms across Earth's environmental network. Sensor feeds highlighted multiple access attempts from sleeper agent positions. Neutralizing intrusion attempts, Wilson reported to Colonel Maxwell. Atmospheric control systems locked down. Dr. Burke calibrated radiation treatment protocols in the Genetic Defense Division's primary laboratory. Modified healing pods hummed with specialized energy fields, accelerating the breakdown of Tzenkethi control structures. Neural pattern degradation proceeding at 200% of projected rates, Burke announced. Beginning final calibration sequence. The UES Mercy's docking collar sealed against the Singapore facility's medical evacuation port. Captain Winters activated the frigate's quantum isolation fields as medical teams transferred their patients. Life support stabilized. Combat medic tours confirmed as Willa's pod connected to the ship's advanced medical systems. Neural patterns holding steady. Davidson's engineering displays showed cascading structural failures throughout the facility's upper levels. Controlled demolition charges detonated in precise sequences, collapsing access routes behind the retreating personnel. Last medical transport clear, Martinez transmitted from the underground bunker. Beginning final evacuation phase. Lieutenant Weber's teams fell back through prepared defensive positions. Phase-shifted barriers materialized behind them, blocking Tzenkethi pursuit through the disintegrating facility. Long-range sensor arrays detected massive construction efforts around the Sirius breeding facility. Intelligence Officer Reed analyzed the emerging defensive grid patterns. Multiple shield layers detected, Reed reported. Quantum resonance fields protecting genetic modification chambers. The UES Mercy broke orbit as the last evacuation transports cleared the Singapore facility. Through the medical bay's armored viewport, Dr. Henderson watched energy flares light up the night sky as Earth's defense fleet engaged the Tzenkethi vessels. Emergency lights pulsed through the Singapore facility's corridors as security chief tours established defensive positions around the remaining evacuation routes. The UES Mercy accelerated away from the docking port, its hull vibrating as Tzenkethi weapons fire impacted nearby spatial coordinates. Multiple interceptors on intercept course, Captain Winters announced, his hands steady on the helm controls. Implementing evasive pattern deltasven. The medical frigate banked sharply, maintaining stable internal gravity fields as Dr. Henderson monitored Willa's life support readings. Through the viewport, a squadron of sleek Raptor-class fighters swept past, their engines flaring bright against the night sky. Medical Transport Fleet, this is Strike Commander Patterson, a new voice transmitted. Raptor Squadron engaging hostile forces. Maintain current vector. The Raptor's specialized weaponry carved through Tzenkethi shield harmonics. Patterson's squadron deployed in a defensive screen around the medical transports, their targeting systems specifically calibrated to protect the sensitive medical equipment aboard. In orbit, Admiral Sullivan's fleet coordinated with Nulurived atmospheric defense specialist Dr. Morgan. His sensor readings highlighted critical weaknesses in the Tzenkethi processor's gravitational matrices. Target their stabilization nodes, Morgan transmitted, sending tactical data to the fleet. A precise strike pattern will trigger cascade failure without activating their failsafe systems. Earth's defense platforms rotated into position. Concentrated energy beams struck the processors at calculated angles, causing their internal systems to collapse without releasing harmful atmospheric agents. Chief Engineer Davidson initiated the Singapore facility's shutdown sequence. Computer cores wiped themselves in carefully planned stages as Tor's security teams covered the final evacuation groups. Quantum storage units cleared, Davidson reported. Beginning power core deactivation. The facility's lights dimmed section by section. Defensive barriers materialized behind the retreating personnel, sealing off access to sensitive areas. Martinez's sensor feeds tracked Tzenkethi infiltration units attempting to breach the quantum barriers. On Mars Base Alpha, Medical Director Colonel Wright supervised the establishment of specialized treatment chambers. Dr. Burke's radiation protocols streamed to medical stations as transport pods arrived from multiple evacuation sites. Neural pattern stabilization confirmed in subjects 7 through 12, Burke announced, studying the treatment readouts. Cellular degradation rates exceeding projected models. The UES Thunderchild transmitted tactical data to Nuliform Task Force Liberator. Fleet Admiral Harrison analyzed the Sirius facility's defensive specifications on his command deck's primary display. Phase-shifted shield layers detected, Harrison noted. Multiple overlapping frequencies. Technical Officer Chen begins shield penetration analysis. In the asteroid belt, Signal Intelligence Director Foster accessed captured Tzenkethi communication systems. Encrypted transmissions scrolled across his screens, revealing coordination patterns between sleeper agents. Implementing signal interference protocols, Foster transmitted, disrupting command frequencies across designated sectors. Technical Officer Martinez's sensors detected unusual energy signatures from the remaining Tzenkethi vessels. Commander Reynolds of Biological Defense Command studied the emerging threat patterns. Energy wavelengths match human genetic structures, Reynolds reported, activating protective field generators in population centers. The Singapore facility's final evacuation teams boarded waiting transports. Security Chief Tors received encrypted data regarding Elite Commander Raxthal's infiltration units. Bioweapon signatures detected in sectors 12 through 15, Tors transmitted, activating quarantine protocols. Through the facility's remaining sensors, fresh waves of Tzenkethi vessels emerged from hyperspace. Task Force Liberator's ships moved into defensive positions as the facility's shutdown sequence entered its final stages. Through reinforced viewports, plasma bursts illuminated the night sky as Raptor Squadron engaged incoming Tzenkethi vessels. Last medical transport clear, Torres transmitted, activating his phaser rifle's power cycling sequence. Strike teams, fall back to position Theta. UEI combat units moved in practiced formations through the facility's dimming corridors. Electromagnetic pulse generators hummed to life behind them, their energy fields spreading outward to destroy sensitive equipment and research data. EMP sequence initiated in sectors 7 through 12, Davidson announced from the Engineering Control Center. His fingers danced across holographic interfaces, coordinating the systematic destruction of critical systems. The UES Mercy's engines flared as Captain Winters executed a series of precise maneuvers through the Tzenkethi blockade. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Henderson monitored bank after bank of life support readouts. Neural patterns stable across all subjects, Henderson reported, adjusting treatment parameters. Implementing Burke Protocol version 3.7. Commander Patterson's voice crackled through the command channel. Hostile interceptors bearing 035. Raptor 2 and 3 form on my wing. Clear that vector. The squadron's specialized weapons carved through enemy shields with surgical precision. Patterson's fighters maintained a protective screen around the medical transport as it accelerated toward the Mars convoy. Admiral Sullivan's tactical display highlighted new threat signatures in high orbit. Multiple platforms detected, Technical Officer Martinez announced. Energy signatures consistent with Wideria genetic modification broadcasts. Orbital Defense Division, deployed to coordinates transmitted, Commander Blackwood ordered from his command post in lunar defense. Prioritize platform destruction before they achieve broadcast capability. In the Sirius approach vector, Task Force Liberators Advanced Scouts transmitted urgent sensor data. Colonel Harper studied the incoming feeds at his intelligence station. Phase-shifted minefields detected, Harper transmitted to the fleet. Uploading countermeasure protocols to navigation systems. Dr. Wright's team worked with practiced efficiency in Mars Base Alpha's primary laboratory. Modified nanite containers hummed as Dr. Grant calibrated their genetic programming sequences. Cellular resistance increasing, Grant reported, studying molecular imaging displays. Integration rate at 97% effectiveness. Security systems engineer Chase's quantum scanners swept through the base's primary access points. The devices emitted precise energy patterns designed to penetrate surgical alterations. Sleeper agent detected in Medical Sector 2, Chase transmitted to security teams. Quantum signature confirms Tzenkethi genetic markers. Martinez's sensor analysis revealed new construction patterns around the Sirius breeding facility. Previously, unknown defensive technologies emerged from the massive orbital shipyards. Energy readings exceed known Tzenkethi capabilities, Martinez reported to Admiral Sullivan. Shield harmonics operating on multiple quantum frequencies. In Mars Base Alpha's command center, Colonel Wright received encrypted transmissions from orbit. Multiple Tzenkethi vessels detected on long-range sensors. Elite Commander Raxthal's energy signature confirmed among the approaching fleet. Through the facility's armored walls, the distant rumble of defense platforms moving into position vibrated through the structure. Medical teams continued their work as UEI combat units established defensive positions around the treatment center's perimeter. The UES Mercy joined the medical convoy as it approached Mars orbital space. Dr. Henderson activated new radiation treatment protocols, the specialized equipment humming as it generated carefully calibrated energy fields around the patients. Neural pattern degradation increasing in targeted Tzenkethi control structures, Henderson transmitted to Dr. Wright. No damage to surrounding tissue detected. Technical Officer Martinez's displays tracked the movement of Raxthal's fleet through the outer system. The Tzenkethi vessels advanced in attack formation, their weapons already cycling to combat readiness. Multiple Tzenkethy signatures entering Mars orbital space, Martinez transmitted, his displays tracking Raxthal's approaching fleet. Attack formation confirmed. Inside Mars Base Alpha's command center, Security Chief Torres assumed tactical control, fresh from the Singapore evacuation. His neural interface linked directly with the base's defense grid as Dr. Wallace's upgraded shield systems activated automatically. Shield harmonics cycling through randomized frequencies, Wallace reported, monitoring the quantum field generators. New protective matrices holding steady. The UES Mercy executed precise docking procedures at the base's secure medical bay. Dr. Henderson supervised as medical teams transferred Willa's stasis pod through reinforced corridors. Patient vital signs stable during transfer, Dr. Pierce announced, integrating newly arrived Earth medical staff into the treatment protocols. Implementing enhanced Burke radiation sequence across all sectors. Technical displays lit up as Tzenkethy weapons impacted the base's outer shields. Security scanners detected movement in the colony's maintenance tunnels. 3 infiltrators identified in Sector 7, Counterintelligence Chief Harrison transmitted. Quantum signatures match surgically altered Tzenkethy agents. Major Drake's tactical team converged on the infiltrators' position. Specialized sensor arrays pierced their biological camouflage, revealing the agents attempting to access critical life support systems. Bioweapon containers detected, Drake reported after securing the captured agents. Design specifications indicate targeted atmospheric contamination capabilities. In the primary treatment facility, Dr. Wright's team achieved a breakthrough. Test subjects' neural patterns shifted as Dr. Cooper's quantum field therapy took effect. Cellular restructuring proceeding at optimal levels, Dr. Grant announced, studying molecular imaging displays. Tzenkethy control mechanisms breaking down while enhanced capabilities remain intact. Near Sirius, Task Force Liberator encountered dense fields of phase-shifted mines. Major Armstrong's modified graviton emitters created precise disruption patterns through the defensive grid. Mine field neutralization at 60%, Armstrong transmitted to Admiral Harrison. Detection systems identifying clear approach vectors. The UES Thunderchild sensors located the Tzenkethy supply convoy. Captain Drake coordinated with Strike Commander Stone's fighter squadrons as they moved to intercept. Priority targets identified, Stone transmitted, marking critical cargo vessels. Genetic modification equipment confirmed in holds 2 and 4. Martinez's long-range arrays detected unusual energy signatures from the Sirius facility. Massive power readings indicated activation of previously unknown teleportation systems. Technical analysis confirms mass transport capabilities, Martinez reported to Admiral Sullivan. Power signatures increasing across all sectors. Security Chief Torres received updated threat assessments as infiltration units carrying bioweapons spread through the Mars colony network. His tactical displays highlighted multiple simultaneous intrusion attempts. Defensive teams deploying to all major population centers, Torres transmitted, coordinating UEI response units. Implementing maximum containment protocols. Dr. Henderson's medical bay received new patients as defense platforms engaged Tzenkethy ships in Mars orbit. Through armored viewports, energy weapons illuminated the thin Martian atmosphere. Neural pattern stabilization holding in all treatment sectors, Dr. Pierce confirmed, monitoring the enhanced radiation protocols. No signs of control system reactivation. Long-range sensors tracked additional Tzenkethy vessels gathering near Saturn's rings. Elite Commander Raxthal's flagship moved into position as support ships formed around it. Multiple command frequencies detected, Intelligence Officer Drake reported, analyzing captured command codes. Sleeper agent activation protocols identified across human space. Task Force Liberator pressed forward toward the Sirius facility. Admiral Harrison's tactical displays highlighted automated defense platforms moving to intercept. Graviton pulse generators charged. Major Armstrong transmitted. Ready to neutralize additional mine fields on your command. Vector adjustment calculated. Major Armstrong transmitted as Task Force Liberator pressed through the last line of mines. Initiating final approach to facility perimeter. On Mars, Security Chief Tor's tactical displays lit up with multiple breach alerts. His neural interface processed incoming data as Colonel Marcus Reynolds stepped into the command center, immediately accessing the defensive grid. Implementing overlapping coverage patterns, Reynolds announced, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Mobile Teams Alpha through Delta maintain ready status for rapid response. The base's outer shields flared as Raxthal's forces launched a coordinated barrage. Through reinforced observation ports, plasma bursts illuminated the Martian sky in rapid succession. In the medical wing, Dr. Henderson supervised the integration of new patients as Dr. James Patterson initialized automated monitoring systems. Banks of diagnostic displays filled with real-time treatment data. Neural pattern stabilization at 98% effectiveness, Patterson reported, studying the incoming results. Automated tracking systems confirm consistent recovery progress across all treatment groups. The UES Thunderchild strike teams breached the captured Tzenkethi command vessel's primary data core. Commander Stone transmitted the technical specifications to Martinez's analysis station. Gravitational alignment requirements identified, Martinez announced, highlighting key sections of the data. Teleportation array requires precise positioning relative to local spacetime curvature. Admiral Sullivan's tactical display updated with new deployment vectors. Position graviton pulse units at these coordinates, he ordered, marking specific points around the Sirius facility. Prepare for synchronized disruption on my mark. In Mars Base Alpha, Chief Harrison's quantum scanners detected unusual activity patterns in the base's maintenance tunnels. He coordinated with Colonel Foster at the security station. Multiple infiltration units converging on life support control nodes, Foster transmitted, activating newly installed detection grids. Security teams moving to intercept. Quantum signatures confirmed Tzenkethi agents. The base's environmental systems hummed as Chief Engineer Davidson activated Dr. Scott's atmospheric purification network. Specialized filtration fields spread through the ventilation system, extending to connected colony habitats. Purification grid online, Scott reported from his engineering station. Chemical analysis confirms full-spectrum protection against known Tzenkethi bioweapons. In the secure treatment wing, Dr. Henderson's team gathered around Willa's monitoring station. Dr. Morgan studied the latest scan results with intense focus. Complete neutralization of control mechanisms achieved, Morgan announced, comparing the data to baseline readings. Enhanced capabilities fully preserved. Implementing treatment protocol across all patient groups. Technical Officer Martinez's long-range sensors detected massive energy signatures approaching the Sirius system. Multiple breeding facilities detected on long-range scan, he transmitted to Admiral Sullivan. Energy signatures match known Tzenkethi configurations. The Task Force Liberator's ships adjusted formation as Captain Drake coordinated with Major Black at the weapons station. Quantum disruptors charged, Black reported, monitoring power levels. Ready to engage outer defense grid. Specialized energy beams lanced out from Black's modified weapons arrays. The Tzenkethi phase-shifted defenses fluctuated and collapsed under the precise assault. Outer grid neutralized, Black transmitted as Task Force Liberator's ships moved into blockade positions, establishing containment field around primary facility. Through Mars Base Alpha's sensor network, TORS tracked increasing sleeper agent activity throughout the colony systems. His tactical display highlighted multiple simultaneous infiltration attempts as Colonel Reynolds coordinated the base's defensive response. Mobile teams Echo and Foxtrot reinforced sectors 3 and 7, Reynolds ordered, adjusting the overlapping fields of fire. Maintain containment protocols around critical infrastructure. The UES Thunderchild sensors detected massive power fluctuations within the Sirius facility. Commander Stone's strike teams maintained their positions as the facility's energy readings continued to spike. Teleportation array charging, Martinez reported, monitoring the power signatures. Detecting gravitational field distortions across multiple vectors. TOR's command displays tracked the approaching Tzenkethi breeding facilities as they entered the Sirius system. Task Force Liberators ships adjusted their blockade pattern, spreading their coverage to encompass the expanding threat zone. TOR's tactical display flashed red as multiple breach alerts triggered simultaneously across Mars Base Alpha's perimeter. Tzenkethi infiltration teams had activated previously dormant access tunnels beneath the facility's foundation. Multiple incursions detected in subsectors 9 through 12. TORS transmitted, his neural interface processing the flood of incoming data. Unknown access points identified beneath primary foundation structures. Colonel Reynolds' fingers danced across the holographic controls, implementing enhanced defensive protocols. Activating subsurface detection grid, Mobile teams golf through India, converge on lower maintenance shafts. In the Sirius system, Admiral Harrison observed Technical Officer Martinez's sensor data as Task Force Liberator maintained its blockade formation. Dr. Reed analyzed these power signatures. Dr. Thomas Reed studied the facility's energy patterns from his newly established workstation aboard the UES Thunderchild. Primary gravitational alignment nodes showing critical instabilities. We can exploit these fluctuations without triggering their safety systems. The task force's modified graviton emitters powered up, targeting precise points around the teleportation array. Energy beams lanced out, disrupting the facility's carefully balanced gravitational fields. Inside the array's control center, Tzenkethi technicians scrambled to stabilize their systems as power collectors overloaded and shut down. Dr. Henderson supervised the expansion of Mars Base Alpha's medical facilities, as Colonel Foster coordinated the establishment of new treatment centers. Transfer patients 17 through 32 to secondary facility Beta, Foster directed. Maintain radiation shielding during transport. Neural pattern stabilization confirmed in all treated subjects, Dr. Henderson reported, studying the latest scan results. Implementing mass treatment protocol across all centers. Chief Harrison's quantum scanners pierced the thick Martian rock beneath Olympus Mons, revealing the hidden Tzenkethi command center. Major Scott's tactical teams moved through reinforced access tunnels, their specialized equipment neutralizing security systems. Strike teams in position, Scott transmitted. Breaching charges armed, initiating synchronized assault in 3, 2, 1. Precisely timed explosions breached the command center's outer defenses. Scott's teams surged through the openings, deploying neural disruptors to incapacitate Tzenkethi controllers before they could activate their sleeper agent networks. Technical Officer Martinez's sensor arrays detected new power signatures from the Sirius facility. Dr. Warren, analyzing backup power systems now. Dr. Michael Warren examined the incoming data. They're routing power through secondary quantum capacitors, adjusting countermeasure frequencies to match the modified energy patterns. The UES Thunderchild's weapons arrays recalibrated, targeting the facility's backup power systems. Precise energy pulses disrupted the quantum capacitors, preventing the Tzenkethi from stabilizing their damaged teleportation array. Inside Mars Base Alpha, environmental alarms blared as Tzenkethi bioweapons targeted the oxygen generation systems. Dr. Robert Blake activated his quantum filtration network from the Environmental Control Center. Molecular scrubbers online, Blake announced as Chief Engineer Davidson monitored the base's life support readouts. Quantum filters neutralizing all detected biological agents. Tor's tactical displays tracked unusual neural activity spreading through the colony network. His security scanners identified previously dormant genetic modifications activating in captured colonists. Modified subjects detected in Sectors 4 and 6, Tor's transmitted. Behavioral patterns indicate Tzenkethi control protocols active. Dr. Henderson's medical team adjusted their treatment procedures, preparing to handle the influx of activated subjects. Implementing enhanced neural stabilization protocols, he announced. Prioritizing suppression of cascade trigger mechanisms. Long-range sensors detected Elite Commander Raxthal's home fleet approaching the Sirius system. Task Force Liberator's ships adjusted formation, preparing to defend their blockade positions as the Tzenkethi vessels advanced in attack formation. Martinez's sensor arrays tracked energy readings from the disabled breeding facility. Data core still intact, he reported. Detecting active transmission attempts to approaching Tzenkethi fleet. Martinez's sensor data revealed multiple transmission attempts from the breeding facility, just as Elite Commander Raxthal's fleet entered weapons range. The Tzenkethi vessels advanced in precise formation, their phase-shifted hull plating adapting to incoming scans. Inside Mars Base Alpha, Security Chief Tors activated a newly installed tactical display. Colonel Stone, infiltration teams detected in maintenance shafts B7 through D12. Colonel Marcus Stone's fingers danced across the gravity control interface, activating containment protocols. The base's modified gravity plates powered up, creating localized fields within the tunnels. Automated defense systems online. Tzenkethi infiltrators triggered the trap, their bodies crushed against the tunnel floors as robotic turrets emerged from concealed ports. The gravity fields held them in place as precision weapons fire eliminated the threat. Tunnel network secured, Stone transmitted, implementing rolling defensive pattern across remaining access points. In the medical wing, Dr. Henderson studied data from his latest neural scans. Dr. William Parker leaned over the display, analyzing the complex patterns. There, Parker pointed to a specific neural cluster. The cascade triggers connect through these synaptic pathways. We can isolate them without compromising the restored neural architecture. Dr. Henderson nodded, adjusting the treatment parameters. Beginning procedure on patient 0. Willa's vital signs remained stable as targeted energy fields disrupted the Tzenkethi failsafes while preserving her recovered consciousness. The UES Thunderchild sensors tracked a Tzenkethi research vessel attempting to break through the blockade. Captain Drake coordinated with his tactical officers as specialized tractor beams locked onto the target. Research vessel secured, Martinez reported, analyzing the captured ship's data cores. Downloading complete neural control schematics now. Dr. Parker received the transmitted data, immediately incorporating it into his treatment algorithms. Success rate increased by 37%, implementing refined protocols across all facilities. Admiral Sullivan studied the quantum energy readings spreading between the Tzenkethi installations. Dr. Thomas Reed accessed the sensor feeds, his expression grim. "They're establishing quantum bridges," Reed announced, "attempting to transfer control protocols beyond our reach." He activated the experimental disruption devices, their specialized fields severing the quantum connections. Beneath Olympus Mons, Counterintelligence Chief Harrison coordinated with Major Brian Foster's strike teams. The master control terminal lay behind multiple layers of Tzenketh security. Detection systems show mass activation sequence initiating, Harrison transmitted. We need that terminal. Foster's teams breach the outer defenses with precision charges. Alpha team, take left flank. Bravo, right side coverage. Charlie team with me through the center. The strike teams fought through automated defenses, neutralizing Tzenketh guards with specialized neural disruptors. Foster reached the terminal just as the activation sequence reached 90% completion. Chief Engineer Davidson monitored the base's environmental systems as Tzenketh bioweapons targeted the oxygen processors. Dr. Michael Scott's enhanced filtration grid activated automatically. Molecular analysis confirms neurological agents, Scott reported. Quantum filters engaging. Air supply remains uncontaminated. Admiral Harrison's fleet detected the approaching Tzenketh reinforcements. Colonel James Wright activated the captured phase-shift technologies, integrating them into Task Force Liberator's defensive systems. Phase variance compensators online, Wright transmitted. Shield harmonics adapted to counter their primary weapon frequencies. Security Chief Tors received encrypted data showing Elite Commander Raxthal's command staff relocating to the Sirius facility. Simultaneous alerts warned of the electromagnetic pulse weapon's existence. Dr. Parker, Tors called over the secure channel. How many patients remain untreated? Parker checked his medical displays. 4 to 3% still carry active cascade triggers. We need more time. Technical Officer Martinez's sensors detected power building in the Tzenketh weapon systems. The race against time intensified as medical teams worked to neutralize the remaining neural failsafes before Raxthal could activate his final contingency. Technical Officer Martinez's fingers raced across his sensor controls as energy readings from the Tzenketh weapon systems reached critical levels. Power surge detected. They're routing energy from multiple breeding facilities into the EMP device. Transfer Dr. Coleman to my station, Martinez transmitted. We need his expertise on this power configuration. Dr. Andrew Coleman arrived moments later, his experience with Neptune's advanced energy systems evident as he analyzed the complex power signatures. These graviton harmonics. We can disrupt their charging sequence if we time our bursts precisely. Inside Mars Base Alpha, Security Chief Tors activated every defensive protocol in the base's arsenal. Full-spectrum countermeasures online, deploying automated response units to all perimeter sectors. Dr. Henderson's medical team worked at maximum efficiency, neural stabilizers humming as they process patient after patient. Dr. Parker burst into the treatment center, his neural scans displaying a new pattern. Look at these quantum signatures, Parker pointed to the display. Dr. Grant, can your stabilization fields be modified to create a protective buffer? Dr. Thomas Grant studied the readings, his experience in medical physics immediately recognizing the potential. Yes, we can generate a quantum shield around their neural patterns. It will protect against both the EMP and any reactivation signals. The UES Thunderchild's tactical systems tracked multiple Tzenketh vessels attempting to break through their defensive line. Major Richard Stone coordinated with boarding teams across the task force. Strike teams, implement breach pattern Delta, Stone transmitted. Priority targets are control centers and data storage. Maintain structural integrity of research sections at all costs. Counterintelligence Chief Harrison's teams secured the last Tzenketh position in the Olympus Mons facility. As his analysts processed the captured data cores, urgent alerts flashed across their screens. Sir, we've located their backup control center, an analyst reported. It's embedded within Phobos. Colonel James Walker's strike team launched immediately from their holding position near Deimos. Their assault shuttles burned hard for Phobos modified stealth systems active. The UES Mercy's Medical Bay transformed into a hub of activity as Dr. William Foster's enhanced treatment systems came online. Implementing neural shielding protocols across all departments, Foster announced. Beginning mass patient transfer from outlying colonies. Technical Officer Martinez's sensors detected a new energy pattern emerging from the Sirius facility. Dr. Coleman, they're implementing quantum encryption. Data transfer in progress. Coleman adjusted their countermeasure frequencies. Elite Commander Raxthal is moving their research data, tracking quantum signature now. The Tzenkethi EMP weapons power levels continued to rise as Task Force Liberator engaged the enemy fleet. Admiral Harrison coordinated their assault from his flagship's command center. All ships, execute attack pattern Epsilon, Harrison ordered. Concentrate fire on their power distribution nodes. Dr. Henderson activated the new protective protocols as his team processed the remaining patients. The neural shielding procedure, combining radiation therapy with quantum stabilization, created an impenetrable barrier against Tzenkethi control signals. Treatment success rate at 97%, Dr. Grant reported, monitoring the quantum field harmonics. Shield integrity holding steady across all subjects. Security Chief Tor's tactical display tracked Elite Commander Raxthal's movements within the Sirius facility. The Tzenkethi leader accessed multiple secure terminals, transferring critical data through quantum-encrypted channels. Dr. Coleman, can you isolate those transmission frequencies? Tor's asked over the secure channel. Working on it now, Coleman responded, his hands flying across the energy control interface. Their encryption is adaptive, but I'm detecting a pattern in the quantum fluctuations. The UES Thunderchild's weapons targeted precise points around the EMP device, graviton bursts disrupting its power collection array. Martinez coordinated with Dr. Coleman, adjusting their attack vectors to match the weapon's changing energy signatures. Colonel Walker's strike team breached Phobos's outer surface, their specialized equipment cutting through layers of Tzenkethi security systems. Backup control center located, moving to secure the facility. Inside Mars Base Alpha, Chief Engineer Davidson monitored the environmental systems as they neutralized another wave of Tzenkethi bioweapons. Dr. Michael Scott's enhanced filters adapted to each new variant, maintaining the base's atmospheric integrity. Detecting neural-targeted agents in Sectors 7 and 12, Scott reported. Quantum filtration grid compensating automatically. Quantum filtration compensating, Scott confirmed, just as Tor's tactical display erupted with new alerts. Massive power signatures radiated from the Sirius facility's core. EMP weapon charging sequence detected, Tor's transmitted, fingers racing across his console. Power fluctuations exceeding predicted parameters. Martinez's sensor data streamed to Dr. Coleman's station. Energy patterns match our theoretical models, Coleman announced, adjusting their graviton burst frequencies. Implementing targeting solution now. The UES Thunderchild's weapon systems locked onto precise coordinates around the weapon's power distribution nodes. Modified graviton bursts pierced the facility's shields, creating localized disruption fields that interfered with the weapon's charging sequence. Direct hits confirmed, Martinez reported. Detecting power cascade through their primary conduits. Dr. Parker burst into the medical wing, neural scans displaying on his portable terminal. Final treatment group ready for processing. Dr. Henderson, the protective protocols are holding across all subjects. Henderson nodded, monitoring Willa's vital signs as the last neural barriers activated. Quantum shielding stable, beginning mass implementation. In the Sirius facility's depths, Captain Drake led his strike team through Maintenance Access Tunnel B-14. Combat Specialist Rivers moved at point position, advanced sensor package detecting Tzenkethi security patterns. Guard rotation in 30 seconds, Rivers whispered, hand signals directing the team into concealed positions. Research database located 2 levels below. The strike team bypassed automated defense systems, Rivers' specialized equipment creating sensor blind spots in the Tzenkethi detection grid. They reached the database core just as Elite Commander Raxthal's quantum transfer protocols initiated. Transfer at 20%, Technical Officer Chen reported through their secure channel. Implementing disruption sequence. Rivers connected their modified interface directly to the database core. Download commencing. Quantum encryption bypassed. Admiral Harrison's fleet engaged the Tzenkethi defensive screen around the facility. Phase-shifted weapons fire pierced adapted shields, precise strikes disabling key defense nodes. All ships, concentrate fire on designated coordinates, Harrison ordered. Clear path for ground teams. Commander Stone's strike force breached the facility's command level. Neural disruptors deactivated Tzenkethi guards as they pushed toward Raxthal's position. Command center breached, Stone transmitted. Elite Commander contained. Inside Mars Base Alpha, Dr. Henderson's enhanced treatment protocols spread through the medical network. Recovery pods hummed with quantum-stabilized energy fields as the final patients received their neural shielding. Treatment success verified across all subjects, Dr. Grant announced, monitoring the quantum field harmonics. No trace of cascade triggers detected. Willa opened her eyes, neural scans showing complete autonomy restoration. Her enhanced genetics remained stable, now fully under her control. Dr. Henderson reviewed her final readings, confirming total success. Implementation authorized for all facilities, Henderson transmitted to the treatment network. Begin mass processing immediately. Counterintelligence teams secured the Phobos Control Center as Colonel Walker's forces disabled the last active protocols. Chief Harrison's analysts processed captured command codes, systematically deactivating sleeper agent programming throughout human space. Network control established, Harrison reported. Breeding program command structure neutralized. The UES Thunderchild sensors tracked Elite Commander Raxthal's surrender as Commander Stone's team secured the command center. Research data streamed to UEI servers, documenting every aspect of the Tzenkethi operation. Admiral Sullivan's reinforcement fleet arrived in system, weapons locked on the remaining Tzenkethi vessels. Faced with overwhelming force, the enemy ships powered down their systems. All hostile vessels contained, Sullivan transmitted. Mars Base Alpha, situation report. Base secure, Torres responded, reviewing their defense grid status. Medical facilities operating at peak capacity, beginning transition to rehabilitation protocols. Dr. Henderson activated the new medical center protocols as the base shifted from combat operations. Treatment pods transformed into recovery units, specialized care teams preparing for long-term rehabilitation programs. Martinez's sensors showed the last power signatures from the EMP weapon fatting as their graviton disruption field completed its work. Dr. Coleman confirmed total neutralization of the device, his modified algorithms preventing any possibility of reactivation. Quantum bridges severed, Coleman reported. Control infrastructure offline. Inside the medical wing, Willa stood from her treatment pod, enhanced strength and agility now fully under her conscious control. Dr. Parker reviewed her neural patterns one final time, confirming complete integration of the protective protocols. Ready to begin counselor training whenever you are, Parker said, nodding her stable readings. The rehabilitation center will need your expertise. Technical Officer Martinez tracked the arrival of medical transport ships carrying rescued subjects from across human space. The Mars facility's expansion plans appeared on his display, showing new treatment wings and rehabilitation centers under construction. First wave of transports on final approach, Martinez announced. medical teams standing by.